And we're live. Whoa. Facebook's happy again. So what's going on, everybody? Look at this. We have tons of people. Seth left. Seth will be back. We like Seth. I just kicked him off. No, I'm playing. So how do you want to start it, Andrew? You had a question you wanted to start have everyone start?
Well, I brought it up, but some people said you can't do it. So, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's everybody's okay, instead of favorite project, what's your most anticipated project that you're working with? And we'll start with Adam and just work our way right down.
Mine's gonna be the Black Knight Mandarin Blood crosses that I'm gonna do next year. I've got Black Knight Mandarin crosses right now, but I'm gonna do the Mandarin Bloods. See how that works.
All right, we'll just go right down the line then. Who wants to say next?
I'm still thinking.
Anybody?
Someone else.
Oh, skip. We'll go right to Heidi then.
Sorry.
Heidi, come on, Heidi.
Well, I don't know. Bold stripes.
Heidi Bold. So.
Bold stripes. Bold stripe bandits and the Skittles stuff. That's my favorite stuff to do.
I honestly will say this about your stuff. I love your bolds, but your Skittles stuff is hot stuff. the Skittles some hot stuff.
Well, I've been just kind of selectively breeding the ones I got from Garrick like 6 years ago. And then entering in some of my like separate jungle stuff, and then crossing back to aunts and uncles and whatever. So it's definitely getting there.
It's hot stuff. I mean, some of the colors, the greens, the yellows to the oranges, it's there.
Yeah, people used to ask me if they were clowns. I'm like, no. They're not.
I will say this before we get on. I said they remind me of the beginning clownish stage, like when Clown first came out and he made the clowns. But then the clown kind of went its own way.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep. We are just winning all day.
All right, we'll go right to Bubba there for his.
That's what I kind of pulled out for you. This one, I don't know. I mean, I don't have any results from this yet. I don't know if you guys can fully see. It seems like the light's kind of drastic. But this right here is an Atomic and GG, the original Mandarin without NDBE, and Electric from his. And so possibility for hets for Tremper and Eclipse, the Slang Raptor, I guess, now. And that's a topic that we could touch maybe later. This right here is Hello Orange. Is going to be a Clown Inferno cross. It looks super washed out for me, but I don't know if it is. Yeah, expecting those like October 15th. But the thing with the Clown is like you never know what you're going to get. Like a box of chocolates. You really like it's an experience. Even like watching these things grow. It's art and it's super passion driven. So anything that's funky and I really don't know what to expect, like it's fun. So I think the clown stuff is really cool. Tangerines, like any line bred trait that you can get a specific look from, I think is really cool. And like kudos to everybody who's put in that hard work, you know?
I guess we'll go to Leo then.
I like it. Oh, me? Well, for me, it's probably just my rainwater stuff. I want to just improve that. And then I have a ghost coming soon. So looking to incorporate that into the rainwater, see where it takes me. That's the main thing that I'm excited for.
Seth?
What are we talking about?
What's your most anticipated project?
Oh, goodness. One single one? Or one for each?
Oh, you can name as many as you want.
Well, I don't know how many of y'all follow me, but my tangerine whiteout AML patty stuff is like on the cusp of right where I want it to be, and finally able to produce the final product, if you will, of that project that's been going for about 3 or 4 years. Now, we'll get into this later, too. I've termed this my Mango project because the original female from everything is named Mango. Now, I will say, I'll put a disclaimer there. I have not released anything from any of this stuff. So it's not like I have that name like floating around out there as a line. It's a project that I've been working on. That's a soul project of mine for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's just a really tangy tangy whiteout that's got a really unique look to it. And then on the Leo side of things, on Fat Tails too. I just hatched my first 2 AML patties ever,
Sweet.
back to back. So that's
cool.
Big score last. That was just a couple days ago. And then on the Leos, obviously my bold stripes are a forever passion of mine. And then some really cool bell stuff that's right where I want it finally, and that's pretty much the gist of it. I got a little bit of everything otherwise, but that's my favorites, I guess.
Do you have a YouTube channel? Because I seen you on somebody's YouTube channel once.
No, I have.
It was just.
I have a YouTube channel, but it's literally like 2 bug videos. Like it's me. I sell these bug kits at the expos, like some breeding kits, and so I did a video for each kit with a QR code on the kit so that people could see me explaining again, so that if they forget what I tell them at the expo, they can go back after they get home and see me explaining it again at home. That's the only things I have on there, though. It's totally inactive. I do kind of hope eventually to maybe put some stuff on there just to get some information out there, because I breed almost all my own bugs and I've got it down to almost a science. So I feel like it would be good to get some of that out there for people to be able to use. But my production skills are far from awesome. So right now, I'm sticking to the animals.
I think, everybody that does this should try to put some kind of YouTube channel out there to get the proper information out, so people can take a pick and choose from a bunch of places that have.
Are you thinking of? Those are his bug videos.
Bug videos rock though. I'm multitasking.
The only one that didn't answer the question is
Darling
over there.
Oh.
I mean, I have a couple things that I'm really excited about. Probably my favorite would be my Infernos. I got a handful from Pat Klein probably a couple years ago, and then I got some from him quite a few years before that. So I'm working with strictly ones that I've only acquired from him. Breeding for the phenotype he intended. So that's the orange and green with black spots. And we've got some pretty insane looking ones right now. So I'm hoping to release some of them this coming season. And then obviously Panda Project as always, because that one's always super hot. And then we have a couple of non-het groups of almost everything now. Marble Eye's just been evading everybody at this point. Because the non-het group that John had, I think, was the one that popped up Cypher then. So het-free Marble Eye is still just out of everybody's grasp. So that one I'm struggling with too. But we've gotten almost everything locked down. So I'm really excited just to have a good base collection of stuff to build even higher.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. So what's everybody's with the geckos? What do you guys think? What would you guys like to see coming up? How would you like to see the future of the hobby go?
That's a very broad question.
I would say a better representation of everything. As far as specific lines, there's newer people like myself included. I don't consider myself very in depth with everything, because for granted I've only done this maybe 4 or 5 years, but there's people in here I don't know, I was 15 when I bought a gecko from Darling Geckos, Angie over here, and that was back when everybody found out, even before what Enigma really was too, and fully understand it. And to this day, that's still it's not fully understood, right? And to judge that off of somebody who has less experience rather than talking to that person, like that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying like, oh, you called out your line, whatever, stuff like that, but like stuff that's already there, like stuff we need to like properly talk about. Lemon frost, for example, like that's still a thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
the husbandry,
on both of those topics.
the husbandry issue. You know, you have the people that don't agree with us keeping in racks, and then if you go bioactive, people are going to crucify you for loose substrate. You know, that dynamic sucks too, because that creates a divide between us. You know, in certain aspects too, and has nothing to do with the morphs and any medical related issues that go along with this.
Yeah, it's more of there's not one way to do it correctly, obviously, because if you look at our rooms, nothing's exactly the same. Even when it comes down to supplementation, I bet it's different, right? There's no set standard, and there's multiple ways to keep these long term when they're still benefiting from all these, like being in these tubs. Like, yeah, but each tub is bigger than 20 gallon, but your average customer is not going to understand why they're in a tub. So you kind of have to. It's just up to us to kind of educate, and unfortunately there's some out there who have kind of are educating, and we don't really have the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
And there's a slip in that, and I don't know, we should make more I guess be on top of that more.
I think it comes down to time. I honestly do. With the larger breeders that know the stuff, it's not about us keeping secrets. It's just, it takes a lot of time to do a video, then edit the video, then put it out, then advertise the video. It takes a lot.
I think I'm going to do more live cleanings and just talk and BS with everybody while I'm cleaning.
That's the thing for me. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
You mentioned husbandry. Somebody mentioned husbandry, and the racks, the rack controversy. I keep in racks, obviously. Most breeders do, but I think that there's a right and wrong way to do things. And David mentioned there's not only one right way to do things, but I think there's also a lot of wrong ways to do things too. A lot of people, in my opinion, don't keep these animals to the best of their ability as far as cleanliness and overall all keeping.
And there's also a difference in which you need to also do your research and talk to multiple people, because you may have asked two people, and those two people could have told you two different things that were very different, and your choice could have put the animal first or put your kind of a fast track to doing this for, I don't know, for fun, for living, whatever you want to do. And I don't know, the animals shouldn't pay for that. You should be an advocate for the animals, because we love this. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. So if we're going to do it, we should be doing it right and helping educate those coming up, because I don't know, my kids are probably going to like this if they're cool, which hopefully.
They're cool.
And one thing for me that
go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
One thing for me on a positive note that I like, and I think I would like to see continue, and I think it really is furthering the hobby. The support you get from breeders, even like I'm the greenest person in here. The greenest, most newest person here when it comes to breeding. But everyone in here, I like that everybody supports each other. I also have a gecko from Leopard Geckos that I purchased, I think, Tinley of October 2018, I think.
Oh my gosh! Okay,
2 years later, last year, I still had the ID code, and I remember I messaged you and I said, hey, could I know the genetics? And I mean, it was like 1 a.m, and just instantly I got a message back, and I was like, and it's a female raptor, het Murphy Spanielist, and she's like one of my favorites, because my daughter comes in here, she's 2.5, and she can hold her, and it's like that continued support of anytime you can whenever a breeder has time, they will try to support, new people getting into it, saying, hey, I'd like to know this, I have this ID number, I have this question. And everybody's more, since I've, got on my track of like trying to get all the knowledge I can really quick to make sure that I'm doing everything right, everybody's been super supportive and giving me the information I've asked for and more. And I think that's really doing a good thing for the hobby.
That's what Heidi does online. That's what Heidi does. Not many people see this. Heidi, you're all over online. All over online.
Like my admin stuff, or
Admin, you're helping people. You're answering the same question over and over and over, and you don't get mad.
Got way more patience than me.
Way more than me too.
I mean, because how I met Heidi was online, and then I moved to Wisconsin, and I think we met at Sewerfest. It was Sewerfest, and she does it at the shows too. She will just answer questions, and she has her geckos, and it could be the most beginner question, and she could be asked 30 times, and you'll get the same awesome answer every time. And I think that a lot of people would take that lead. I even get upset sometimes. I'm like, geez, I just answered this.
I think the only one that I get really upset with is when people are like, oh my gosh, why does that cost so much? I could have run a Petco.
That one bugs me a lot too.
I slip sometimes, and I'm like, so go Petco.
Lost Seth.
Seth, we lost Seth there.
We lost Seth. Seth left, guys. He'll be back. He might have lost his bike. We had him for a bit.
Yeah.
He just
I
doesn't
don't breed anything I'm not willing to keep back myself, regardless. I don't have enough to where, like, some of you guys where it would hurt me to keep everything back, but I'll keep it right here. I don't care. Go somewhere else.
same.
So, how do you guys feel about these big box stores and the people that breed tens of thousands of geckos just to send to the pet stores for? Not talking about you, Gary, because you're not tens of thousands. You're up there, but you're not like selling to Petco or something.
No, I don't sell
like
the Petco. I won't sell the Petco. You're talking about like producers like Gourmet and Bell.
Yes, yeah.
I'm torn on it. Basically, because if it weren't for the big box stores, a lot of people wouldn't be in the hobby.
Yeah.
Because where do kids get interested in reptiles? When their parent takes them to the pet store,
Exactly true.
So it's like a love-hate relationship. Like we need these pet stores and their commercials that they have on TV and that kind of stuff. But I think what should be striven for is a higher standard of care and a higher standard of what we should expect from them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something we should cut out because that would be just detrimental as a whole. But
there should just be a training course for the employees in general.
Mm-hmm.
That, has a better because I mean there are some of these places like my local Petco has very good knowledgeable employees because they are reptile keepers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a reptile breeder. He's a younger kid, but that's what he does. As a side thing, and so they're well taken care of. But you can't.
And that's what I will say.
Go
Like
above and beyond what they allow you to do either.
They do have to follow a written thing, like a written form that, like when they go in there and somebody asks the questions, they have to follow what that paper says, regardless if it's wrong or not.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
So I was actually an assistant manager at PetSmart, and I got docked down because of what's going on now, and this is kind of like everything. But there is like they care, they really care, but like it's above them. They have these vets in a group that are just like your everyday vets, where when we have problems, we take it to the vet. No, we're the vet. So it's just like there's rules, and it's hard to go against them at a certain point. But you know how many people like I've helped in that position, and like educated the right way, or like, hey, don't touch that heat rock, it's as simple as that. That saves a life right there.
Mm-hmm.
Good old heat rocks. You gotta love heat rocks.
And maybe that's becoming more. Maybe it's becoming more common because I know that I've been at Petco because that's all that was open at the wild. And I'm like, well, let me just go in and grab what I'm looking for. And I can't remember. I was looking for something like sand for different use, and the guy was like, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's that calcium sand. You don't want that. And it was like before it would be like, sure thing, here I would just throw it on the table. It wasn't what I was looking for, but they will give you that kind of like, but if it were me, I wouldn't do that. And that's something I feel like I didn't see before. I think there's starting to be more knowledgeable people in that position, maybe just there for the time being, so they get to somewhere where the right information is a lot more readily accepted, I guess. Because I think, and like we said, that a lot of kids, they go in there and that's where they get their first reptile, whether it's a green anole or a leopard gecko. I have an 11-year-old gecko from Petco, and that was one of the first things that got me into leopard geckos.
Same.
It's a common story. I think it's a common thing for a lot of people. Like, yeah, I walked in and I saw a green anole and it was $4, and you couldn't go wrong.
I got my first one from PetSmart. 23 years.
Oh, wow.
I think everybody has owned a leopard gecko from Petco or PetSmart at the very early stages. Come on.
I think mine was 9 years ago. He wasn't even one like for sale. Somebody like dumped him at the door, so they had him in a tank by himself for $5.
Yeah, you had that.
So I was like, oh, no.
I'm going to show my age. There was no Petcos and PetSmarts around when I started.
That same here. Don't feel bad. Well, I mean,
Honestly,
I haven't been, but it's just been that long.
Reptiles are still like these past few years are breaking out of that taboo that oh my gosh, they're scary, or we don't know what it is, so we're going to be frightful of it, or it's instilled in you as you're raised up. So like I think you're going to see those changes happen, but like for us and like those people in it, it's not happening fast enough. And this is what this is for, like, right?
I honestly think it matters where you're at, because like the Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, we've had shows. I mean, massive amount of shows in a month. There's a show. When I lived in Toledo, Ohio, I could hit a show every weekend, 2 of them every weekend, and I did. Now, if you go out to North Dakota, how many shows you got in North Dakota?
One.
I think that's why. In Ohio, there's what, 3 or 4 monthly shows in Ohio, and then there's like 5 monthly shows in Michigan.
Yeah, I think here in Pennsylvania, between Pennsylvania, Maryland, and New York, we have like 4 or 5 shows we can access every month.
Yeah, that's why I miss living in Pennsylvania.
I was gonna go to Battlefield, but
Come to California. All you have to do is pay double your taxes.
Now, see, that's why geckos are so expensive, is them California breeders.
Your fault.
And that's
but also there's an influx of breeders too. So like all these people jumping in are taking these animals from their breeders, pairing them up one time to who knows what, and they're asking the prices that are of these breeders too. So like, what are we supposed to do if those animals are pedigree animals as well? There's always going to be a market up and down, and I don't know. It's just like when it comes to money and reptiles, right? I don't even like cash. Like, let me pay you in geckos.
I have a rule when I do it. I don't even look at other people. I just price them when I'm going to price them. That's what I do. I don't even. I look like I would pay $250 for that. I would pay $400 for that, and that's how I price them. It's gotten me in trouble with other breeders before because I produce something that they're the only other ones, and they're like, "Well, I'm selling it for this." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Yeah, I'm sorry. But I mean,
you live in California.
take raptors, of course. You got the real raptor, and then you got the Tremper Eclipse. Price Tremper Eclipse a little different than you would the classic raptor. I tend to call it classic.
Recessive, yeah.
Well, it's more line bred. I mean, I got a lot for gecko history. I've actually sat down on the phone with Mr. Tremper himself and he says, "This is what it is, and this is what we're going to tell people." No joke. This is what it is, and this is what we're going to tell people. I'm like, well, how does that go? I'm like, what are we going to do? So, I mean, like the radar. People don't think radar is all radar is Eclipse bellow vinyl.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no abbreviation. They were just
I've
that's a
held
cool
in my
name.
hand the very first radar. I've held in my hand the very first blood. I know what it's supposed to, I've held it. It's the ugliest damn tangerine you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
Yeah,
But
it definitely doesn't look like this neon stuff that's on the market now. It's
the
little
original
bit
blood
neon.
was spotted head, super hypo body, and a pretty cool tail. But I've said, well, I used to be in JMG's basement almost every day, so I got to play with that stuff, like hyperexanthic and all that good stuff.
I actually just got out of my blood project because I was slimming down on some stuff and I had blood no hets. But
I should have bought those.
One extra thing that I didn't super need to keep. But
Oh, so I don't know if you guys
That's an insane
are
gecko.
good at it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And then like
That's green.
this is-
yeah.
Why don't you just go ahead and box that up? I'll send you my address.
I got like
Oh, Seth's back. I didn't even see him back. We'd have to leave him in hanging there for a minute.
Oh, your mic's broken again.
His mic, he is
Oh.
fired. Oh, I got it. Do I have a mic in here? I will send you a mic real quick. I have one.
Fancy.
Oh, so I got this on. It stays away because I'm actually a loudspeaker. Heidi could probably speak to that. When I talk, everyone hears it.
What is like one piece of information you would give somebody if they came to you and said they wanted to start doing this? What is one thing that you would
I'll
tell
be
them
back.
that is more important than anything else?
You're not gonna make money. Don't expect it.
do what you like.
I
baby.
would say,
I don't know if you guys can see.
oh wow, I would say, know exactly what you want to work with. Like, I think sometimes you see a lot of cool different things online, and you don't want to spread yourself too thin so fast. Like, if you like rainwaters, then just look for the best rainwaters just to start off, especially your first year. If you like snows, any variety of snow, go with that, and just really have a good idea of what you want to work with and where you want to take it.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up, having a bunch of breeding stock and being like, this doesn't even go to this. I've got all kinds of albino strains and I can't put them together. Like, it's best to have a good plan, a good plan ahead to see what you're gonna do, not just this year but the year after.
Yeah. I want to tell people, don't be afraid to just specialize in something. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be like Pokemon. You don't have to catch them all.
Yeah.
That isn't for everyone, and it actually takes a lot of effort to manage something like that. Just do what you want, and that's how you're going to be happy with it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Gary is back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I had to go get something to drink. I didn't have nothing to drink. Yes.
All right, I'm back on my phone. If I lose you again, I'm just gonna be out. I turned off my Wi-Fi, so hopefully it won't keep disconnecting me. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry, I missed whatever I missed.
The last question I'd asked everybody is, what is one piece of information that you would give to somebody if they came to you and said they wanted to start do this? What is the most important thing you would tell them to do if they wanted to start breeding?
The same thing I tell everybody. Work with what you like, not with what you think the market will like, because you want to enjoy what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And start small and grow slow. Those three things, I think, are the fundamental things that people need to understand, because if they don't do those three things, they're going to fail, period. You're not going to have the passion. you're gonna get overwhelmed, and you're gonna just end up dropping.
Don't do what I did.
Yeah, that's what pretty much everybody else said too. Same thing.
Yeah, you don't want to do what I did.
Don't touch your mealworms.
Oh yeah, don't touch mealworms and then touch your eyes. It's probably the worst mistake you'll ever make in your whole life. That's
You guys are gonna
build
hate
up
me.
an allergy.
I've been breeding leopard geckos since 2007. Okay, I can put my head in mealworms and it won't bother me.
I can't.
I can, whatever.
I play in them. It doesn't bother me either.
My eyes have like threatened to swell out of my face before, and I've had to go to urgent care.
Oof.
Like it is so bad. I have permanent lung damage from the mealworm allergy.
So what do you do to combat that while you're? What do you do?
I'm on a regimen of medications with an asthma and allergy doctor. We actually did the poke test with a bunch of different insects on my back, like what they do to test you for grass allergy and trees and all that. We did that with the mealworms, and it swelled up massively. But they have me on 2 different inhalers, like 3 different nasal sprays. I have a nebulizer, and then we have industrial air filters and all that jazz in the warehouse to keep the allergen count down. And I don't breed my own feeders. I can't do it. I have to buy brand new feeders every week, feed them off completely. That way it keeps the frass down, and then there's no dust in the air.
Ask me what I do.
Well, what do you do?
I have a fiance. She handles all the worms.
See,
I
I did
used to
that
have to
too,
glove
but
up,
it-
wear the whole respirator,
So
and like.
I have a few tips for the worm.
Do we got mics? We're good. We're
Which is
still
we go.
live. We're good. We got mealworm power. Someone's saying mealworm power. I
You
like
hear me?
that. I don't have problems. Like I jump in
Big
my
quiz.
dubias.
Seth was
I
about
don't
to
have a-
say is he talked to it about. He was saying the same thing as Angie is the air purifiers, and he helped me a lot too because that helps world's plants, things that take and filter the air, and also like making sure you have like a kit like Seth provides, those little like sifter ones that he sells at the shows. He has those videos out to show you guys how to do it, and that really cuts down on all the castings and everything blowing around in the air. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I also use I use a quality HEPA filter hand vac, and pretty much every other day, I vacuum all the molds out of all the worm tubs that I have in my room, and I breed almost all my own worms, and so I have a lot of freaking molds to work with, and I'm very confident that my couple of methods to reduce the allergens are being effective because I have to wear a respirator whenever I'm like dealing heavily with them, like actually sorting them and stuff. But just to be in my room, generally, I don't need one. And I'm producing a very high number at this point. But like Bubba said, I've got the self-sifting tubs to where all the frass falls through. And then I regularly vacuum molds up with a nice high quality hand vac.
Oh,
Yeah.
good idea. I like it. Yeah, very good idea. I don't have a problem either. So, but I was just.
I think it matters what you keep them on too. Like a lot of people keep them on that brand that they come in, and a lot of people are allergic to that brand all by itself. You know that wheat brand. A lot of people are allergic to that. So you gotta look at the whole big picture of it too.
So we have somebody asking for links, and then we have Ryan of Reco Reptiles asking, what information do you have on Angramamu as far as localities?
Well, what kind of? It depends what kind of information you're looking for. Like differences between the localities. Are you looking for care requirements?
He's a friend of mine actually, and he is probably the most well-versed person I've met with all of those little subspecies and Angramamu to be specific too. all those provinces where you got like the Kurt Meneshaw. That's really the only one that I'll be able to say. He knows way more than me. He's probably trying to see if you guys have all this information.
I have Kermanshah, Elam, and Chogazanville provinces in my collection. The only one I don't have is that new one that I can't remember how to pronounce that John had. What was it called? I don't know. But anyway, I haven't really noticed any difference as far as care goes, but as far as body structure and the colors that they display can be extremely different between all of them. Chogazanville is really similar to Macularius in build, but just supersized. Like, they got big bulldog heads, they have stocky legs, they're the heaviest of the three. My one Choga boy is, I don't even remember how heavy he was when I weighed him last, but he's like the size of my whole forearm. It's obnoxious. They also tend to have a darker coloration, I've noticed, than the other localities. Kermanshah has a lot of variability. Like, I've seen light ones and I've seen dark ones. But generally kind of like in the middle. And then Elam has this one color type that's super white. It almost looks really snowy. I love it. And then they have super long, lanky legs compared to the other two localities. They're like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of how Europlatus legs are. How they just stick out like that. It's neat.
I had a Kermenishaw, and it looked like it was just super long and like a basketball player and lengthy. And he was only about 8 months old. It was just like...
They are so weird when they're about yearling size. Like, they're lanky and awkward teenager geckos. Like, they're so weird. Yeah. And you can't even sex them till they're about a year old accurately. So you get to grow up.
I have a video up on YouTube from like 2008, and I said how to sext, like SEXT, leopard geckos on YouTube. It's still up there. I'm gonna leave it there. And people are like, how does that happen?
As far as Sat parensis, I heard that it was in the US. I don't know who has it. I have seen a few people with it in Europe. But every time that it popped up, I didn't happen to have enough set aside to grab them. And then when I do have enough set aside to grab them, I don't see them. So that is a work in progress. That's going to rely a lot on luck and things lining up, apparently. But I've heard it is in the US. I just don't have actual confirmation on it.
Is that something that can cross into Macularis? Or is that just like a separate?
The only things that I've noticed that have been able to cross into Mac are Fascio, Turk, and Afghanicus. But Afghanicus seems to have trouble doing so. I personally have never had any successful crosses with Afghanicus, but I have had some friends that have been able to do it. So it's more like a 50-50 kind of deal with them, whereas Turk and Fascio do it pretty readily.
My buddy's got Afghan atomics.
Mm-hmm. That's what I have. I got them from Brock, from PA Gecko. He's the one who did the F1s of them. As far as how the Anglermenu localities are named, I'm pretty sure they were just named after what the areas they were found in. But I don't really have any specific information as far as that goes. I think those are more John Scarborough questions because he's done a lot of the imports with them. And he has some nice write-ups on his website about the different localities.
Do you have anything, Gary, you want to ask?
No, I'm good. I'm like handling different things here. I'm good. I'm like multitasking for us.
Where do you guys see the hobby going? Up. I see.
Oh,
That's up. There's
I mean,
a lot of
it's-
mutations happening very quickly. It's picking up at an incredible speed. We've got scaleless now. Even since Lemon Frost came out, there's been multiple mutations in other people's collections of new things that some of them don't even have names yet. But we've gotten Cypher. I've heard there's morphs in Angramenu now that just haven't been really released and written about yet because they're still being tested. Just everything's starting to snowball now. We're getting a lot of stuff going, and it's going to be really exciting in a couple years.
He's back. There we go.
Anyone here think they'll
Can y'all hear me?
with the?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, I got another computer.
Well,
I want to steal my wife's
Went
work
to Best
computer.
Buy real quick.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Sorry I missed half the show.
Heck yeah.
Do you guys think you'll work with the scaleless? Is that the satin?
I intend to buy it as soon as I physically can buy it.
Really?
But also, really, like, mad respect for him trying to figure out if it's healthy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
With that mutating right after Lemon Frost did, it really made him stop and think, wow, I should hang on to these to make sure that they're not going to do something weird before I release them. And honestly, it paid off really well.
No.
He's been having really good results.
Excessive, right?
Does anybody know how to say his name properly?
I do not.
There's one guy in Europe, and it's Malte, and I was like, we have those, and they're like a milkshake thing. We got them.
Right?
But yeah, I'm really excited to get those. But I feel like a couple people will probably manage to grab them before I do, because there's a couple big things that I'm looking to get, and I can't get them all at the same time.
I think the more that people come into the hobby and pick things up, the faster we're going to come across these discoveries or new ways how to improve. And an open mind is the biggest thing we can have as newcomers, as people like us, or like Angie, like Seth, like Heidi, like everybody, right? And so it's just
I'm gonna go a different route. I think the morphs aren't the key to the success of the hobby. I think it's the little kid that comes into their reptile export, the little kid that goes into Petco and they get that one, it's building it for the next generation. The morphs are going to be there, and there's going to be problems with every single morph. Mutations are mutations for a reason. They are mutations. There used to be a guy back in the day. His name was Shamos on TRR. Now, I don't know if anyone here knows what TRR is. The original TRR, the reptileroom.org. And he brought up, he goes, a mutation, and Lemon Frost is a perfect example of this. A mutation is going to show visual outside, but you don't know if it has a large liver. You don't know if it has a large heart. You don't know if it has large lungs. You don't know what the mutation is. Well, Lemon Frost is perfect. Everyone's saying it don't have tumors on the outside. What's going on in the inside? That's what we got to watch out for, and mutations do that. But I think, that little kid that's coming in and goes, I want a pet gecko. It could be a snake. It could be a crested gecko. It could be anything. That's the future. 100%. It don't matter if I sell $500 geckos.
I think it's definitely a combination of them, because inevitably, as breeders, we do need things to be new and exciting for us to continue doing what we're doing, and then giving to the cycle where the children can continue to be excited for their new reptile, to bring up new keepers who keep doing the new exciting things. I think it's a give and take of both aspects.
Man, there's
I'll
this
take
kid.
You're given options now. I got my first gecko. It was a normal leopard gecko. That was it. You didn't get anything else.
Oh, right, yeah.
And now you have these options. Like, look at ball pythons. We talked about that earlier. Like, the amount that continues to snowball every year in the new stuff that pops up. So I'm with you. I think we're right on the cusp of a lot more happening. And I think it's going to be really exciting for everybody to be a part of that.
There's a really young breeder, Gary, that kid from Green Bay and from the Show Me Show. You know what I'm talking about?
RJ. I think his name's RJ.
Is it? Yeah, I forget what the name of the group is. But the kid's like, I think he said, is he 12?
Yep.
He's 12 and he's got like good stuff, like good stuff.
He's got Skittles. He's got Skittles from Heidi.
Yeah.
He's got blood, but his bloods he got from somebody, and it popped out some stuff he didn't like. So he was kind of disappointed in that. But I said, "Well, let's test it out," you know. And then what else did he have there? But he does a really good job.
Yeah. It's pretty cool to see him and his dad, you know, and it's really him. You know, he wants to explain. You know, he explains the information to everybody. It's pretty cool. They had also, they had a couple other things on the table, but it's nice, and you know, see a kid like that so young at a show, and I've seen him in like 2 or 3 shows already.
Yeah, he has his shirts and everything.
Yeah, he's got his branding down. Like it's neat, you know. He's got the whole thing set up, and yeah. Or there was that one time.
He's intimidating dude, Sewer. Oh yeah. That little girl at Sewer Fest.
Yes. She walked up. I forget what she bought, but she bought. Was it 1 or 2
tangerine rainwater? And she bought some bloods and a rainwater, and she tried to negotiate, and I gave it to her even cheaper.
That girl was like, she couldn't have. If you told me she was 10, I would say it might be a stretch. She was young, and she was. The funniest thing was, I think Gary told her like, yeah, you just feed them mealworms, this, that. And she's like, I know. Like she was like, yeah, she was like, I know. She's like, my mom bought me a Tegu last week. And it was like
more than you.
It's flexing on you.
She was.
Oh
yeah, she had a Tegu shirt on. So Gary had asked about Tegu, and that's when she was like, yeah, my mom bought me a Tegu last week, and now here she is picking up all these, you know, really good genetic geckos, and I'm just like, well, okay. I was playing with anoles at that age, but all right.
That's the difference. People are growing up in it. That's a generational gap. I'm in the middle. Like, it's just, I don't know. These kids are growing up breeding, and they have their Petco geckos, and now there's so many videos on YouTube, and they know how to do it. Sexting leopard geckos.
The videos thing too. I remember being a kid. I remember being a kid and looking up like, you know, just leopard gecko care on YouTube, and there wasn't much there. And what there was is like, a lot of times there'd be like a shaky camera, and a guy would just open up a bin and be like, "This is how you take care of leopard geckos," over and over again, and it would just be like super shaky. It's like I didn't even see anything. That was all there was, you know. And now that those videos are there, those videos are there. There's Facebook groups, there's communities. And like, as far as something a kid could easily access, though, as simple as a YouTube video, there's a lot of that information now. Where before,
make sure you watch like 10 videos, not just that 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I'm done.
Okay, so how do you feel about people that have like huge followings and they're giving out bad information and they're a bad breeder? How do you feel about people like that?
Oh my Lord, dude, you went there. But I'll start it off. I'll make it easy for people. I can make it easier for people because I'll start. I try to give good information. I try to help everyone equally. I don't know if anyone here knows, I cut people off pretty quickly if they do not, you know, they keep on doing stupid stuff. If it's blatantly stupid, I'm done. I'll give you an example. I won't say the name because he doesn't do it anymore, but this is back in 2007. We were taking Tremper albino, Bell albino, and Rainwater albino and seeing what happened.
You want to lick my cone?
This was a very large breeder, okay? And at this time, this breeder is a genetic freak, too. He's a genetic guy. And we couldn't make him, and he was going to make the Bell Tremper and call it a bubble gum. Does anyone know where bubble gum's from? There's a Canadian breeder that does it. That makes Tremper albino and Bell albinos calls them bubble gum.
I was going to say, so that's still up there, doesn't it?
Yeah, so, so when we talked about that, he told me right from the get-go, this is back 2007, this is the stupidest thing I can ever do. But I want to see what happens. He told nobody else about it. Nobody knew about it except for him and the people that were in his place.
Mhm.
So I think that's the responsible way to do something if you're going to test it and do it.
Yeah, you have to test it, see if it's the same gene, or at least see if it's allelic. Because there's tons of albinos and other animals that are at least allelic.
It's snakes. You know, they don't really discriminate. You can breed all the albinos together.
Oh yeah.
Well, corn snake. You buy a corn snake, you don't know what you're going to get.
That's a grab bag of heads.
Dude, there was a guy at the show at Green Bay, and he had these snakes, and I was kind of sold just because of the mystery of it, because I'm not too into corn snake genetics, but I'm looking at the little tag, and it's like whatever this corn snake morphs are. It's like snow and anery, and it had like 7 morphs, and I was like, oh okay. Well, I'm like, but I only see one kind of snake here. I'm like, and then I look at the top, and that's when I realized I missed a piece. It said het. It was het for like 8 different things, and I was like, that's wild. I'm like, that clutch is gonna look like just a whole bunch of stuff coming out of it. That's pretty cool. It's cool.
Can you imagine the percent of hitting all 8 in one?
That'd be insane.
Infinity stones.
My goodness.
One good thing, though, Gary, that you were saying is the gentleman or the person that you were talking about, he didn't tell anybody. He kept it to himself and kept everything there. But what about the guy who keeps saying, like, I could take care of this? You know, that's, you know, I don't know if anybody wanted to talk about stuff like that.
There's been plenty of those guys that have come and gone.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to burn themselves out. And hopefully
Exactly.
they haven't released enough stuff into the community to do harm to the rest of us.
Well, that's the problem, though. There, right there, is how much they're going to release, how much they're going to produce, and how much they're going to release, and how responsibly they're going to release it. You know, perfect example, David. We just went through this, man. Me and you. You know, I had something that I've been working on. I don't know how many of y'all follow me, but I work with fat tails mostly, and I had an issue with a line that I've been working on since literally I started working with fat tails since 2016. 2015, I bought my first ones, and I had something pop up years ago that I just assumed to be an individual issue that, you know, I couldn't really attribute it to anything but that certain animal. And then years later, but I always in the back of my mind kept kind of my eye on things and purposely kept everything for several years. And after several years of producing all perfect animals, then I went ahead and started releasing them. David was one of the ones that got some of those. Well, literally the year after I started releasing them, bam, I popped up with another issue in an animal of the same lineage that's generations down the road. So unfortunately that happened. Fortunately, I had hoarded almost everything for several years. Only a very small number of animals that I had to recall, in effect, you know, and I bought a couple animals back, and some of the people kept them, and we, you know, settled everything accordingly. But that's just one small example of how you can do things one way responsibly or another way and just totally screw everybody, you know.
And the way you handled
look
it
at that.
was, yeah. So sorry, he's talking about like the situation.
Yeah.
Like he called me and told me everything, and he was like, "These animals here were fine. Like I still even like I have babies too from that pairing, and I don't see any symptoms from what he was looking out for, right?" And as a reputable person, like that's transparency. If you can't do that and know that you're gonna make mistakes and learn from them or like move from them, like we all do that, like right? Some of us have started out with Petco geckos, and do all of them hatch, or like did we know how to set up an incubator at first? It's just like anything happens, anything could happen. It's just how the way things work, and sometimes relatively recently it's been kind of like getting at you, and it seems like the world's ending. But
and to be clear, all those animals that I bought back are all in perfect condition. The only animals that have ever observed any issues are 3 total animals in my collection of that whole line, out of, you know, dozens and dozens of animals. So it's it's a very, very small issue, and it may be very secluded to only a few animals. But I did a fairly proactive approach on it and went ahead and just eliminated not eliminated, but got everything back that I could, and I'm selling them out as pets to very trusting homes that I know are going to keep them as pets, and they're not going to continue possibly passing on false genes in the gene pool. That's my main goal.
Responsibly petting them out too is important, because unlike leopard geckos, you can almost kind of tell what they look like and what genes are in them as far as visually. So it's hard to do, but like we made the right decision. And Seth, like, dude, that's, I don't know, stuff like that. Like, do we have trophies? Can we give out trophies on this show?
That's very responsible.
Dang it, it's
being
not
a very
here. I have
responsible
one.
breeder.
Yeah.
We should. Well, talking about responsible breeders, we do have a question. What is people's feelings on BHB? I got a simple answer. I want to see what other people are going to say, but I got a simple answer.
This week's posts are brighter. Something's going on.
I put them on the same level. I put BHB as the same level as gourmet rodent. They're a gourmet rodent. They're a Mark and Kimbell. They breed for the masses. I mean, you could put me on it, and maybe Darling geckos. We produce a lot of geckos, but at the same time, I can almost guarantee you. I don't want to speak for gourmet, but for Darling, but I know the genetics and all my stuff that I sell with genetics.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, I'm not joking. If I mislabel something one time, I don't care if it's $1,000 gecko. It's a pet gecko.
Exactly.
Like, oops.
If a label falls off a bin, that animal goes into my pet rack.
I'm like, oops.
I have one that I've been sitting on for like 3 years now. She's the most beautiful tangerine I've ever seen, but I lost her label.
Oh.
And I'm like, and I've just been torn over and over if I'm going to bother testing her because she's just so pretty.
I wish it was a male. If it was a male.
And I would totally just done it. But like, I haven't gotten rid of her because I'm just like, well, what if I just do it? What if I just test her? But I haven't. She's just.
But then that's a whole rack. That's a whole rack you have to dedicate to that test.
Exactly. I just hate myself for that. But yeah, like we keep pretty strict track of all of our genetics too. We have I have a whole pedigree thing in my computer that I keep all of my holdbacks. I record who their parents were, what year they were born, and then I can just trace the whole thing back to wherever I bought the first geckos for that line from.
Now, I personally know where Brian got his geckos. I personally know. I don't know if we want to put it out there. The lines that he has are insane. But he's almost a perfect example of he doesn't know what to do with the lines, so he's not producing what that person produced.
I don't know how you have 14 different genetics and every gecko looks the same. Just like, oh, this is a white yellow bell. This is a tangerine, but they're all brown. I don't get it. Any breed
ultimate mix.
Breeding like 4 in a tub at once. Like, how do you guarantee those eggs are from what female? You don't.
I have a feeling BHB is going to close down as soon as the expansion on the $4 million aquarium is going to happen.
Probably.
$4 million expansion.
I mean, I just don't see how he has time to do it all. I mean, one man only can do so much. And then Wally says, spreadsheets, guys.
Husbandry Pro.
Okay. Now, Wally brought up spreadsheets and stuff, but what is your best, do you guys have a certain way that you guys prefer to keep records? Is there something that you guys do differently than other people do, especially you guys that got the bigger collections? Yeah, that's
in focus.
Is that Herp? Is that Herpstat? Is that what that is? That prints out your labels?
This is Husbandry Pro. So pretty much it's like a mobile app, and you can log on from your computer too. And each animal has their serial code, or a QR code, sorry, as well as their cereals. You can list their genetics, and even like the animals that don't eat or lay weird, you can mark that. There's like simple notifications. So everything is digitalized. And as you can see, I've been twirling around a marker. I have these everywhere, and like it's all over. Look at that. You see? Oh, This way, that way.
I use. I'm not the most organized person, but I have all the information written down somewhere. So I use Word. I use Excel. I also use Kintrax. I'm starting to get everything moved over into that. That's a program more so used by rabbit breeders and hamster breeders. But it actually has stuff built into the program for reptiles and keeping track of eggs and stuff. So I'm going to be loading all of my leopard geckos into that so that I can have actual visual lineage and pedigrees, because you can actually calculate how far things have been inbred on Kintrax. So that'll be really useful for figuring out if you need to freshen up a project or not.
I use ReptiScan.
That's what I have, ReptiScan.
It works pretty good.
I had this other program, and Gary knows that I was telling about, and it went downhill quick because they goofed up and then they got nasty, and I tried to talk to them and they got nastier. So I said, fine, I'm done.
I forget the name of it.
I don't even remember the name.
I don't remember the name of it.
It was
they wanted me to try it out, and I'm like telling him, I'm like, hey, I get to try this out, and then they were mean to him. I'm like, whatever, gone. I have one of these on every rack. So when I'm in that rack, I literally jot it down, and then I'm old school, and then I'll come to my computer and I put it in my spreadsheets. That's just how I've done it for years.
I took my whole laptop around the room with me.
I color code all my pairings and all the hatchlings get that.
Yeah,
color.
anything that stays gets those QR codes and all that information. Everything else,
I'm so
miss
outdated
me with that. Old.
How about you, Heidi? You got any tips on record keeping? You're quiet there. We've been talking for a while. She doesn't say
There's
anything.
just so much going on, so I'm just listening, and then I have geckos scratching because they think it's time to eat. I'm kind of old school. I do have spreadsheets in like just the Sheets app my husband made for me, but otherwise I have binders full of notebooks that I just keep everything on, weights and pairings and labels everywhere.
We use masking tape because all the labels I've tried to use always permanently stick to the bins, and it's such a pain to get the residue off, or when you rip the label off, it rips in half or something. So we just use colored masking tape. I have blue for boys and pink for girls, and then I just write Gecko's code or its name or whatever, and that's its label.
I actually use permanent marker. I use permanent marker directly on the tubs.
Yep, so do
and then you can use dry erase marker to erase permanent marker. My wife's a teacher, so she taught me that. That's a teacher trick, apparently. So if you have permanent marker on pretty much anything, glass, dry erase board, tubs, you can scribble over it with dry erase marker and then wipe it off with a paper towel and it'll come right off.
I was using the chalk markers for a while, like what we use on our display cases at shows and stuff, because they're really bold and you can see it a lot easier than some markers. But
can't that come off on accident?
Pick it up, it would rub off the bin.
Yeah.
I know.
So that's what we used to do now.
Sharpie markers. If you use the permanent Sharpie marker and you write it on there, and if you take the Sharpie marker again and just wipe over it, you can wipe it right off. It like reactivates.
Oh, I've never tried it like that. I've always
wipes
used
it right
the
off.
erase marker to do that.
This is what I use to take the Sharpie off. Alcohol wipes.
Oh, alcohol swabs. Yeah, that comes off too. It works.
My daughter's type 1 diabetic, so I have stacks of these.
I ship all the tubs out with the geckos.
We lost somebody. We lost Heidi.
Heidi left us.
Heidi.
Oh. You guys want to talk about USR?
I'm not going to leave you guys, but I'm going to go have a
all right, cool.
cigarette real quick.
We can talk about US Arc. We love the US Arc.
Yeah.
Watch this. I'll show you. Go ahead. Let's see. Boom. There we go.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, wow.
Representing. Look at these.
Nice.
So, this is one of the prints that we're bringing and auctioning off and donating to the auction. I don't know if you can. It's real crappy, huh?
Ooh.
Oh, that's nice.
That's pretty cool.
That was good.
Well, I just finished the Komodo dragon one too, so like that's getting printed tonight. But like, I don't know, we have to support USARK, and if you can't donate animals, you should try to do something. Like all of us, like we go and auction, bring some calcium. Somebody's gonna buy it off of you, and it's gonna go for like $20 instead of $5. You know, like I don't know. At the Anaheim show, they're gonna bring like cookies, Girl Scout cookies, bottles of not water. You know,
I think David knows me. I just start bidding that stuff on USARK. I don't even know what it is.
And that's if a lot of people, if anybody in the comments or anything hasn't been to an auction, I went to my first one at Schaumburg, the NERBC in Schaumburg. I didn't know it gets wild. I didn't know. And
well, you had Potter. You had Potter there. Potter's crazy,
dude. I mean, it was like 1 second. It was like, okay, here's some morph of Tegu. It was like an albino Tegu with blue eyes or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, $900. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then it was like, now here's a box of erotic novels. And it went for like $400, something like that. I don't know, wait, what's going on? Like, here's a box with lemons, a beer, and like a half-finished chocolate bar or something like that. And it was just like Mark and Kim Miller on the front, just shooting up. Everybody's just in a bidding war. Some guy brought an incubator, and then he outbid everybody else who was betting for the incubator, and then he just gave it to the guy who was like right behind him the last bid. And then they brought out these lightsabers. Like this lightsaber was like a Darth Maul lightsaber that came apart, and you could they started fighting with them. And I was like, what is happening? Like I didn't know it was like this. But it's funny. It's hilarious. It's really hilarious to go to that. And then like the silent auction, there'll be like little things like, I don't know, there's just like shirts and like stuffed animals. So I got my daughter some stuffed animals. The silent auction is pretty cool too. So it's a blast. Like I said,
Daytona has a staff that they auction off every year, and then the person brings it back. The staff it usually goes for like $1,000, $1,200 every year.
Wow!
I thought you meant like the staff.
Yeah, that's all I was like.
Well,
really?
Last time I was there, I was outbid by Don Hamper, so it was allowed. Yeah, I went up to 1,000. He went to 1,100. I was like, for a staff, I'm just gonna hold. Never mind.
It's fun.
A piece of wood.
Yeah, I'll tell you, USARK is very important too, because I ran into trouble and with the city I live in, and they took care of it. They sent information to the city council, to the mayor, and they like inundated them with paperwork to try to figure everything out. So they kind of, after months and months and months of fighting with these people, they finally, after realizing USARK was correct, they just kind of let it go. So they're very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that they're the middleman for a lot of these laws that are trying to get passed, and we need them because I don't know what to do if somebody's going to pass a law. What am I going to say? Like, hey, I don't like that.
Yeah,
it's not going to do anything. Like, we need people like on the front lines who actually know what they're doing, who went and it's just.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of people that are like just like gecko breeders or whatever. Not us, but I'm just saying in general, like people who want to keep geckos, and they think what they think is, well, it's not a snake or nothing, so why should I? They don't understand that it's going to hit the snakes, then it's going to come to the other stuff as it goes down the line.
There's laws trying to be passed to ban goldfish. So HR 669 was a big thing, but I mean, I'm sure
it was
more.
Huge.
They were trying to ban hamsters and goldfish.
Yep. Except we all wrote letters back then.
Yeah, that was just when the internet was kind of big, wasn't it? It was like YouTube. It was like, what, 2008, 2009?
6, maybe 7?
Yeah, it was around there because I remember my YouTube channel was there, and a guy named, and I know this sounds bad, but his name was Muff Daddy TV. I don't know if you guys ever remember him.
I remember him.
And then Viper Keeper Ralph Davis, me. It might be the only ones that were on YouTube back then.
Sounds like some great company you kept back then, Gary.
Yeah, tell me about it. And I was like, well, that's all that was on YouTube. It was more forum based. It was Fauna, the reptileroom.org, which was mine. Bob Clark's forum. He had a forum.
Yes, he did.
Ballpythons.net. And I think that's about it, the big forums. And then there was YouTube. That was it. Oh, well, MySpace, but MySpace never really did anything with the reptile people.
You didn't mention the greatest one of them all.
What's that? Bush League.
Bush League. Yeah, that was the greatest one out there.
League.
Even people nowadays too don't even know that Fauna Classifieds is a thing.
Yeah. Well, the BOI's not there anymore, so the drama's gone. The drama's
It's
gone.
still cool animals.
Yeah, Fauna. Rich is good people, but he's totally retired except for Fauna Classifieds. He's totally done. Rich, if you're looking at this, my offer still stands. If you want to sell it, I gave you an offer. Just email me, and I'll send you the money. I don't think Rich is watching this. Oh man, Fauna Classifieds.
Yeah, that was all the fun days.
Yeah, you meet some really fun people who have like their own ranches. They're like 70 years old, just out in the middle of nowhere doing their own thing, breeding lizards, riding camels and stuff.
That's what I want to do.
Ride camels.
Isn't that the dream?
Yeah. That's who sent me the banana pectinata, the Tinosaur pectinata. Lynn Peterson and Kelly Paul. Like, I was on the phone for hours with them, and I don't know, they're really good people, and like, it's cool to see, you know, because I'm gonna be like that when I'm old, like just on my own ranch, like riding my Aldabras.
So has anybody got a topic they would like to just bring up?
It's hard to pick one.
Oh, there's a lot.
We should need like written down topics and put them in a hat.
Or like people
Well,
shoot
we
questions.
wanted to hit on line bred traits, polygenetics.
Oh, there we go. I forgot about that.
Poly. Oh.
These two down here.
Who wants to do polys?
Well, I've been playing with those for a little bit.
Heidi Bolts.
Heidi Volds.
Heidi and I finally collaborated this year, actually. And I sent her one of my original, not my original, but my second generation males, and she put him to, I guess, one of your original females, huh, Heidi? Where does Xena fall in?
Yeah, Xena is a bold striped pet temper from Ron.
Yeah, she's straight bandit blood, right?
Right, I think right before, because the bandit pair I got from David was, he said related to her down the line, but I don't remember exactly how. But they said that she was a bandit, but she didn't look like the bandits I got from him. So, because I find my bandits and even some other people that are breeding them that aren't related to mine, really, they just look different. They're like, I don't know, I always say they look like American bulldogs. They're big heads. They're really muscular. They're like the beefiest babies I hatch every time. But yeah, so
She's juicing.
Xena is my favorite female, and yeah, so she went to Seth's male this year. So we got some nice babies out of that. We're gonna split.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this should be a cool project down the road. These look cool already, but like, no telling what they're gonna look like once we go further with those babies, you know, because that's straight out cross, completely different lines, you know. Obviously they're related somewhere along the line because they're all bold stripes and they all originated from, you know, the couple of OGs, but as far as being separated for several generations, this is about as good as it can get to cross some great lines that are already established, you know.
Oh yeah, you can cross into many of my bold projects.
Yeah, likewise. And then actually I'm trying to start doing some line breeding with fat tails, which I think is something that's under explored in a lot of cases.
Same.
Right?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot that can be done with that.
No, I think people have been sleeping on that species. There's a lot of different stuff that's starting to pop out of different people's collections now that more people are working with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're about to be the I don't know, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I feel like they're kind of the next big thing as far as the geckos go.
Mm-hmm.
They're soft. They're more docile from hatch.
They're chill, man. You can't beat their personality for sure. And now that the colors and stuff that we're starting to get out of them is just
Their
And so-
hands are even smaller and cuter. Like their fingers
Yeah.
are shorter.
Yeah,
I love them.
I hate
the only downfall is the crickets. The
I
only
hate
downfall is the
feeding
crickets.
crickets. That's
Well,
not-
why? Why do you hate feeding crickets though?
I
That's
can't
my first
stand
question.
listening to them. Oh my
Okay.
god!
So
Fair
buy
enough,
half of the
fair
crickets and feed them all off. Or banded crickets. They make less noise.
Just breed goblins. Very good. Red goblins.
Yeah.
Does everybody in here have fat-tailed geckos in their collection?
I've never had one.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I have the most fat tails.
Oh, I'm sure. I've
I
seen
used to
some
have a
videos
ton, but
doing it.
we sized down pretty heavily. We're only in like 4 projects now. So
No,
I don't have a
held
tail.
back- I've held back like 50 plus fat tail females in the last 2 years. So we're going pretty big with those in a couple of years.
Hi,
Miles in the chat.
Miles in the chat. Oh,
What's up,
Miles.
Miles? What's up?
I love you, Miles. Hope
Speaking
your
of-
wife is
How's
doing
the voice
okay.
feeling? Hopefully
I
the
just
voice
got my
feels-
first pair of fat tails, so
Do
I'm
you know?
excited
Okay,
about it.
Really? What'd you get? What'd you get? Just some normals? Or
They're normals, but they're het for Patty, het
Oreo?
Oreo. That's it. Yeah.
That's
Patty
Patty
Oreo is
Patty Oreo are kind of a lot of those projects run together.
I like the striped stuff.
Yeah, stripes are cool on everything. I've been holding back a lot more stripes just because that's what people like. You know, a lot of people
Mhm.
ask for them. But yeah,
what's everyone's opinion on the pastel?
it's a
gecko.
line bred.
so I've got some bold stripes that are really like pastel looking, but like the lineage doesn't go directly to the pastel lineage. You know what I mean? It's albinos that have popped out of my line of bold stripes over the long. Actually, I have a couple right here, just to get y'all's opinion. Speaking of them, because I've been kind of curious about what to call these damn things. I'm keeping them anyway, but
Because I've talked to Ron specifically, so I got some like bias information about pastels.
what do you have to say while I'm getting these out?
He told me it's line bred trait. It's poly.
Lord Gecko himself.
Yeah.
Lord Gecko.
But the
Should we
next
talk-
question
should we
I
talk
have.
color in it?
So these two sisters are very much pastel.
And they're jumpy.
I got her. These two are very pastel looking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they come from.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing. Right.
wow, it's nice.
There's nothing tangerine about them for sure. You know, they're straight like pink on light yellow. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Can I do
they're
that? I can do that.
coming from several generations of my
Wow.
bold stripes on top of each other. This is like 3rd generation my stuff basically.
They almost look like they're in shed.
They do,
That's so
but they're not.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're definitely both staying. I'm gonna continue messing with it, but that I'm glad y'all brought that up because that's something I've been
There we
kind
go,
of
another one.
curious about with these two. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I like that one.
That was nice looking too. They're all 3 of them were
That's
nice
cool looking.
Wow.
I have some lavender stuff in gem snow.
What is that, Adam?
That's a white and yellow Max Snow Tremper head eclipse.
Okay, you got all kind of stuff in there. Then.
Oh, we got another one to say. Right? Boom.
Nice.
That's snow. That's snow in it, right?
Yeah, so this is gem snow, and then she's a radar too, but she's a lavender stripe. Oh, let's look at this. Dude, my camera. I need better lighting.
I have gem radars, but I'm not liking my first generation of them at all. I'm
They
like,
suck at lighting. Oh,
I need to work on it a little bit. The next question we got is this one. I know my opinion on. We'll see what everyone is. White and yellow line bred or dom.
It's dominant.
Go down.
Clean cut. There's
Dominant.
not a question about it.
I get that all the time. I get the book thrown in my face all the time.
What book you read?
And all I say is this: I was producing white and yellow before Ron Tremper was producing white and yellow. So,
Well,
yeah,
want to talk about giants and super giants too while we're at it?
giants.
How do we feel about that?
I only trust them if they're from sources who've been consistently producing them. So the only place that I would personally buy any giants or super giants from is Gecko Boa or Gecko's EDC.
Yeah,
Or-
this is from Steve.
I think even so, even from those sources, I feel like it's still a poly. Like I think that it's just something you breed big geckos to big geckos, and you're gonna get big geckos.
Well, the thing about giantism in general, you know, in people, giantism isn't like, all right, well, African Americans are giants, you know what I mean, or Indians are giants. Like you don't have a specific subspecies of people or whatever that, or you know what I mean, like a group of people that are just giant.
I'm 7'3".
Giant.
Are you really?
It's a liar.
No.
I was like,
7'3", 100 pounds.
I think whether it's simple, inheritable, or if it's poly, regardless, it's just a really touchy subject, and I would really only trust the lines coming from those two breeders, or at least lines that were sourced from them. You know.
And then that's a white and yellow gem snow eclipse het white knight.
That's what I thought. You just mixing it all up for me, aren't you? Just keep sending my way.
You're just bringing random geckos out now.
Yeah.
So we got another question here. What was it? Someone asks, does anyone have the yellow black? Not sure what it's called. I'm going to say it's a pure Mac, you know, Maclaris, but this is a yellow black leopard gecko.
No.
High yellow.
High yellow? That would be the only thing I would think of.
I mean, like, there's some really crazy pictures of some lemon frost that are like solid black and yellow. If they're thinking about that, but
probably
the Pixel Project. What's the Pixel Project? I haven't seen the Pixel Project.
Never heard of it.
That's from Malte overseas. This is lemon frost.
Well, look at this.
See, I wish I was at home right now because I could have whipped out a whole bunch of those to look at.
And she has a tumor developing.
Yeah, most of them start right under the chin, right there.
Yeah, she was donated to us, I think early this year or last year at the end of the year. And I don't know, we take her to shows sometimes and we do educational like stuff with her. But for the most part, like, it sucks. Lemon frost sucks when you breed it and you don't know what you're doing. And these animals have to suffer. And it's going to come to a point in the road where you're going to have to make the choice on whether you have to euthanize these animals or like what's the quality of life that they're sacrificing with these tumors that you can't see or the ones that you can. And that grinds my gears.
I just took everything in the chairs.
That's a really sore subject with me, and I'll tell you why. Because the newest project is outcrossing it to Turkmenicus. We're all leopard gecko breeders. Turkmenicus is a light leopard gecko in the first place.
What's that called? Isn't it called a ghost frost?
I'll interject there. I have a few Turkmenicus lemon frosts that are 3 and 4 years old that have no signs of any growth on them.
But just like any other lemon frost, just like John Scarborough said, he had lemon frosts that were old too. And then when he got sent them in and they were euthanized and they were studied, they were all internal. He has the paperwork. He had it and he was like, these aren't showing it though. And then when they were euthanized and they were cut, that picture of the liver is from John Scarborough. And that I believe, don't quote me 100%, John, if you see this, correct me. I believe that animal had no visual tumors, and its liver was covered.
Go with, yeah.
We have had to euthanize 2 of ours though. I had one. It was a rainwater that I had gotten like right when the lemon frost started. I had gotten a couple of them, and it was a rainwater that I got from Europe, and it looked perfect for a couple months, but that one was one of the first ones that actually really developed, and it got a really big one coming out of its ear hole, and it got really massive, and it really wasn't affecting the gecko at all for the longest time, despite how ugly and massive it was. But it got to the point where when it started to impact the corner of the mouth, the gecko started to lose its appetite. So that was the point where we were like, okay, it's done now.
It was only going to get worse at that point. You know?
Yeah. So we let her go as long as she was still enjoying her life. But at that point, we decided that's where it was going to start to get really uncomfortable, and where it was going to affect her appetite. And then my other one actually had one come out of its eye socket. So that one was a no-brainer as far as euthanization. That was really gross. Fortunately, all of my others still seem to be in good health. I do want to get some imaging done of some of them just to kind of check up on them. But everybody still has good appetites, moving around and doing good. So they're just chilling in a rack.
I think that's the thing is people assume that, hey, if I cross it out, it's just an inbreeding issue. If I cross it out, or even if I take Turkmenicus to it and get a pure Turkmenicus, like you can't. The best you can get, like years down the line, is 99.9999 whatever. It's not going to be like you can't get rid of
the reason
eye
that
pigmentation that causes cancer.
The tumors produce so much is because here's the lemon frost gene, and then here we are on, I'm not sure if it was the same allele or if it was really close to it, and then here's cancer. It's just so close that they always occur together, and the only thing that's going to stop it is if it remutates and it jumps to the other side, and the possibility of that happening is so close to zero that it's not worth pursuing.
I think at this
it's not
point,
worth the 100 of animals that die.
Even if you're doing your own research per se, I think you should keep that shit to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, if you really do want to find out for yourself, if that's something you want to see and understand the process of what's actually happening, keep it to yourself. You don't need to broadcast it to the world. You're not a zoologist. You're not a geneticist.
The point that it's at right now, though, is if it were fixable, it would have been by now. Like, a lot of people really underestimate Steve's sample size that he had. He had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these animals, and he had a massive sample size euthanized and looked at. And those are the facts that we have to work with. That if nobody's going to come up with a study that was bigger than that, that's just how this is going to be. Yeah. And
is Frank the Tank really leaving right as we're talking about lemon frost? I'm looking at the comments here.
It says see you later. I guess so.
Like that's okay.
John brought up did the tumors come straight out of Gourmet? I think GR's Gourmet releasing them.
There was a delay in the information.
Yeah, it was. Now, here's my personal opinion. I think Gourmet had them. Now, don't quote me because they sold 2 at the auction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they know about these tumors? That's up in the air, but they were sold not knowing at that auction.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I gotta let my dog in.
Okay, no worries. So they were bid on at Tinley Park. And they went to Steve. Steve was bidding on 1, but then they matched it. They gave like 2 or something like that. And I believe he got the second one later. I think it was 1 and he got the second one later. Something like that. And he thought it was fine, so he started taking it to tons of stuff. And like we said, if it was fixable, don't you think the man that had the most invested in it would have tried?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
If it was
it's
fixable,
co-dominant. It's not recessive.
Or 3 or 4 of the other huge breeders that have touched them since then. You know, it's
like you have freedom.
You know?
Yeah, you have your opinion to choose whatever husbandry you want to do, but at some point it has to line up with what the animals need. And choosing to ignore countless people who have tried to help or educate and ignoring all this information that's public and is backed by research is just ignorant.
It's silly. It's absolutely silly.
And Jordan, it did. I forget if it was John's or the one that it was the same allele that it caused it. It couldn't be separated. But
yes, it occurs on
a lily white.
I think it was on the same allele, or they were alleles that were really close to each other that it caused them to be linked. Linked genes is a thing that happens in a lot of animals, and it's really problematic, honestly. In mice specifically right now, just as an example, because it's a parallel that I can work with here. The sea locust and oh my gosh, and the P locust. There's one point where they can link together, and that's the albino locust is C, and P would be red eyes. So once they link together, the genes don't occur separately anymore in that line. They're always going to occur at the same time, no matter what. So that's what's going on with the tumors and lemon frost. It's always they're, for all intents and purposes, the same, even though they're, not.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, like people in the comments, like, I don't know what she just said, but like that's why we have to people are above us at any given point, and like we have to be open to listening to that. And like I learned something.
And someone asked why lemon frost was commonly crossed with black knight. I think because it actually looked cool.
Because it looked cool, first off.
Money.
When people first got lemon frost, they wanted to cross to everything that looked
things
cool.
that there were. Money.
Yeah.
Money.
It was as simple as that.
Money. That's all.
I like the question below
Same
that one,
reason
Gary.
Lemon frost are still being produced. Money.
Was that? I was not. Oh, the cricket in someone's room.
Yeah, who's got the cricket? I thought I had the most crickets here.
It's not
Let's take
mine.
care of it. Yeah.
That's actually a wild one outside my window. That's what.
You're fired.
That's why I don't want the other ones. I got them naturally.
Why are they're so loud? Isn't it like one of those big, like black ones?
It's the one that's chirping like this.
I squash them. I can't stand how loud they are because it's always just one.
If they get out before they hit the floor, they catch a sandal.
So we got another question. Some people are going to dive in. It says, I know this is about leopards or Leos, but do you guys work with any other species? I do know that many of you guys do.
Tails.
Let's go down the line and talk about what species y'all work with.
Okay. Adam, you want to go first? What other species do you work with?
I'm only breeding leopard geckos currently.
We got to get him some more species.
We gotta send him stuff.
I'll send you over 3 of my younger brothers.
I have 2 clownfish, actually, a pair. That they aren't breeding right now, but they're both het for albino.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. That's it.
Well, that's how we all started.
I mean, I've had tons of stuff growing up. I've had all sorts of saltwater tanks and all that. Different reptiles.
How do you think that's helped you? Like, I find that, like aquatics, dude, like helped me set up these tanks much better than I could have. Just like layouts and stuff. How almost like there's a beauty to it.
Yeah, look, I have some bio tanks and some natural tanks that are not full bio. But yeah, setting up my reef tanks and stuff, and having to spend the time. I mean, there's a lot more work, obviously, in a reef tank than there is setting up a bioactive leopard gecko tank or any of that. But it's definitely helps with maintenance and just how you go about researching, even finding it.
Yeah,
picking and choosing your information. Because yes, the books that my dad had, 30 years ago were great books when they were out, but you gotta go what the new stuff is. Changing your lighting, and like with the fish stuff, how much it goes hand in hand with growing plants. Lighting, stuff like that. There's a lot of things in symbiotic relationships that once you get into certain hobbies that they all go together. I mean, there's houseplants all over in that house. Yeah.
I kill houseplants. I can't. I have the blackest thumb.
Yeah, it's like it transitions
into other stuff. But
there we go. There's some beautiful fat tails right there.
Jesus, that one's white.
Wow.
No, I like the other one.
David, these are the replacements, bro.
Dang.
This is
and that's the mango.
This is no, this isn't. Well, this has some mango in it, but this isn't the mango project. This is replacing the whiteout Oreo project that got snubbed.
Oh my gosh! Oh, honestly, those are better.
So it's funny. They're
getting there.
The mango
That's really
project.
nice blushing.
I have a male here from the Tang Radar project, and me and a buddy we pretty much bought out another breeder friend of ours, and he's got a Tang radar project that the main male is named Mango. And
Oh, cool.
It's going away from being an orange gecko. The project's making them brown patterning, yellow, and then yellow carrot tail. Instead of carrot tail, it's going to be yellow.
Nice.
Which the tails are starting to go yellow instead of orange now and whatnot. It's pretty cool. But it's just funny, it's both mango.
I like mangoes.
I'll actually get
I love mangoes at this point. I'm definitely a mango
I'm like
fan.
trying to point the right way. I don't know which
I
way
know.
is David and which one's not. So, who's next?
What,
for
Mr. Leo?
your species?
Right
I have a
now,
daughter.
yeah, that's where most of my care goes. But I actually have a Peridora Picta gecko from Wally, and Andrew helped me get into that. Those guys are like the coolest little geckos ever. They're like little puppy dogs and like that. They run around a little enclosure. I want to get to breeding them, but right now I only have a male. I want to get into like other geckos. Right now I'm looking to get into like white line geckos. That's a nice one. I like that. But other than that, I have some tarantulas and really just leopard geckos for now. Although now I'm starting to get convinced towards the fat tail way by seeing what Seth's got down there. That's pretty cool.
They're good, dude. They're cool.
Yeah, fat tail time.
Some crazy ones.
Oh, I'd like to do cave geckos too, but
Caves are fun.
they really are. They're so
They
cool
look
looking.
evil.
Yeah.
Those
They're
were,
they're like the leopard gecko in the family that goes to Hot Topic. But it's,
Hey, the leopard geckos don't need heat.
yeah.
Okay.
This is what my boys are working on. So my boys have a gargoyle collection. This is one of their hatchlings.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Wow.
I can't hatch a gargoyle gecko if I tried.
You're killing it, dude. You're killing
in a
it.
dangerous game with this guy right now. This is one of the hatchlings that came out of that male.
Yeah, let's go back to this one. We got geckos today.
Oh,
You guys are making me jealous when I'm not at my house that I can just whip stuff out too.
If I got up, I could go that way about
Is
20 feet.
everybody's just pulling stuff
showing
out now?
stuff out.
Jeez, look at this.
Hiding
My
It's a
face.
Heidi bull.
There we go, Heidi.
It's a Heidi bull.
This is actually one
I think
from
that's a Heidi Huffsbold, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a Heidi
Heidi
Huffsbold.
bull.
I know,
That
it's so hard
that one's about to head to Texas,
the
actually.
camera's
Isn't it?
flipped.
Yep. She's all yours.
Yeah.
And
That
oh,
one's
we
heading
got
my way.
Leo. Stay there. Don't move, Leo.
Is that whiteout too?
Nope.
No, just straight up,
Wow.
dude. That's
Wow,
that's
it's so
project we were
clean.
talking about earlier. That Prince to her Xena.
Can I have that one?
No, that's
Clean.
mine, bro.
Back
I'll-
off.
Come on.
I can put some offspring with your name on it, but she's headed this way. She's coming down to Texas.
Yep, she is.
Hey, look at
This
that.
is-
Leo.
This is actually
Ooh, that's nice.
this is the raptor that I got from.
That's got some pastel look to it.
Oh, she looks awesome.
I really want to breed her, but the male was shy. So
Oh,
better luck next year. He would just kind of fall asleep in the corner.
Time to
So-
sell the mail. Sell the mail.
She would walk over to him and kind of be like, "Hey," and he would just be like, "No, I'm sleeping." So hopefully next year.
Here we go.
Ooh, that's
Yeah, the-
pretty.
We had to pull out some white and yellow.
White and yellow?
there might be one of
Radar.
those.
Radar. I see now. Radar.
It's out of the radar project. This one's het.
Nice.
But,
Where's your white and yellow radar stuff come from, Adam?
claw geckos is where I got.
Okay, cool. RJ's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
RJ,
What's your what's your gecko business name, Adam?
Green Mountain Dragons.
Green Mountain Dragons? All right, cool.
I've actually heard of you. I think on Instagram. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you go, David. Aberonia, yeah.
Yeah, why you got to show us up with that?
That's sweet.
Not your
This is
turn
tough.
yet, David.
ah!
This is so
What?
cool.
It's like out of focus now. But I have babies. Let's see if I can't pull any out, but
That is
this is
sweet.
toast.
It's so beautiful. I love those.
He's
They're
just
like marble.
he's super calm. Yeah, he's a Bronia Lythrochilla, and he's a calico phenotype. So normally they're like gray with like a red lip, but white and speckled and all these colors. Dude, I hate this directional thing.
He's really
Yeah,
chill.
it sucks having to do that.
Yeah, compared to like your other ones, right? Like you always see him trying to like bite stuff.
Yeah, like all the time.
Yeah. I mean, he has a female too, but like, I don't know. Abronia are hard because it's the wild caught species or specimens are brought in and they're devastated and they're ridden with parasites, and he's probably wild caught. Like, the only thing that I can for sure say are captive born and bred are the babies that we got here. Some of these were given to us pretty much like litters where they were like, hey, you're kind of good at this, like just do it and like keep the babies, like I'll keep some of these, like whatever. So right now, like, it sucks because you lose so much, but like also like I try to keep my percentages up with this stuff, but it's very hard. Like Abronia, the babies hatch out and they like fit on my pinky, and then right now they're 5 months old and maybe still like this big. So there's like 14 of those that I got to take care of from like one litter, and then I have like 9 of the other, and then there's different species, so it's wild, but
Gecko.
crazy.
Ooh, I like that.
That's insane. See, now I want to buy geckos.
Come on,
You guys just
Come on.
PayPal. Come on.
Come on, Gary, pull out a clouded.
Well, I'm sure I'll see you in October.
So who's going to Tinley?
Tinley. I'm not going to Tinley. I don't
You're not
think
going to Tinley?
Real quick, the crossing from the clouded, my Gen 4 clouded to a black knight produced all normal looking geckos. 100%. They did nothing. So my male clouded will be donated to someone else. I don't want it. I have clouded black knight. Whoa.
I don't know.
Really?
That's a cool tail.
Yeah.
Wow.
She has a cool head too.
Holy shit, David, what is that?
This is that magma from Chad, the white and yellow magma.
Oh yeah, nice.
You want to see her boyfriend? Her boyfriend colored up too.
So this one. There's a radar.
Yeah, I can see that that's from RJ stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's all out of. I'll take out the female. She's pretty bland. You wouldn't expect some of the stuff that she threw.
Oh, that's nice, David.
Oh, wow.
Dude.
It's like,
I like that female more though. I like her head.
I know.
Yeah,
The
that's
white and
sick.
yellow heads just are insane.
Yeah.
Okay, this camera was supposed to be 4K. I ordered it on Amazon specifically for this.
He's like, round table, order it, done. And Miles, there is not enough radar love. I agree with you.
Y'all, I hatched a single radar this year. Out of all my Bell stuff, I've got all kind of hit radar everywhere. I hatched one radar.
Oh, that's.
Are you
Look
serious?
at that stripe on that radar. To the one on the right, well, it might be your left, is really calm. Look, it's like just chilling.
This one?
Yeah, just chilling. They're both chilling now. But I like the stripe on the stripe. Yeah, that's nice. I go for stripe stuff.
Yeah, these are the two that pretty much do all my white and yellow radar stuff. This is the one with the. See if I can get his eye up here.
That's insane. That's kind of. That's got some. I don't want to say marbling, but it has marbling to it.
Yes.
Yeah, that he's the reason I need a marble eye to test.
Well, I know a guy that.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Well, John's got a couple marble eye bells up for sale.
Nothing makes sense in this world, Adam.
I agree.
So look, this is one of my favorite bells that I hatched this year.
Wow.
Oh, that's
The white and
nice.
yellow tang.
Man, I wish I was hatching out Tang white and yellows like that one back in 2012.
I'm loving this one. It's just coloring up amazing. It's got all kind of lavender still hanging in there.
That's insane.
My camera sucks, by the way, but I don't have a fancy camera like y'all.
We lost them. And now it's just me.
Yeah. So, darling geckos, what all do you work with? How many species?
Well, as far as geckos, we do the leopard geckos and the fat tail geckos. In the past, I did gargoyles, crusteds, and caves. Got out of those momentarily. We're going to be getting back into caves at least. Stickies just were not my thing.
I like it.
And we're actually getting into snakes more now. We're going to be doing reticulated pythons, dwarfs and super dwarfs mainly, just because they're a lot more manageable. And then we're going to be doing carpet pythons. We've got a good collection of different carpet python morphs. And I have a group of Sonoran boa constrictors. And we're going to be doing rat snakes. Yeah, we're just going to be doing a lot of random stuff. Ball pythons too.
What kind of rat snakes?
Myself.
What kind of rat snakes?
Black rats mainly, but hybrid stuff a lot really, because rat snakes really are just kind of mixed around when it comes to their mutations and stuff. Because you got scaleless here and scaleless there, and then you just put them together, and it's kind of a hot mess. But I'm going to be trying to stay the black rat snake direction as best I can. We've got scaleless and albino and blue-eyed leucistic and swarmers right now. So, the cool-looking stuff.
Yeah. So, what did you guys? Does anybody here work with crested geckos?
I used to.
I have one. My brother's got a couple.
I was just going to ask what your guys' opinion is of the lily white.
I like it. I think it's kind of it's similar to white and yellow in that it looks better on animals that already have nice phenotype. But then obviously it's different because it's homozygous lethal.
Yes,
That's
what I was going to ask.
The leucistic lethality. Same thing with whiteout African fat tails. It's pretty much what that is.
Yes.
I like the white and red. Those ones are pretty sweet.
The reason I brought this up is because I seen a post, and the person said they bred the lily white to a normal gecko, a leopard gecko, crested gecko, but I don't remember what it was. But they said it was not lily white, and they produced out a pure white one that was leucistic, and it didn't survive, of course. So my opinion is you get these ones that have the very low expression, and what do you feel about people trying to sell them as being like non-lily whites? Because
that's
going to be troubled.
That is troublesome, and it's lying. If you know if it's a lily white, you should say it is. And if you're not sure, what I would do is say possible lily white, because when homozygous lethal genes are concerned, you don't want to mess up someone else's breeding plans. It's inconsiderate. It's not fair to the poor little gecko's life that was produced and then died right when it hatched. So you really should just take enough care and just be considerate enough to make note of these things when you sell them. There's nothing wrong with lily white, but
just let people know so they don't breed it to another lily white.
Yeah.
If you can't tell the difference, if it's such a low expression, say this is from a lily white pairing.
Yeah, exactly.
That would help out tremendously.
Well, like with anything, kind of. Sorry, I just kind of got bit by this little thing, but yeah, by this little turd.
Dude, you got tons of stuff.
Oh yeah, so this is just inside too. Like I have outside, but this is one of those little babies. See how he's developing like the calico phenotype, the red.
Yeah.
I call this one Darth Maul because he's staying dark, and then I have ones that are getting white like toes too, and blue. There's like different variations. It's really cool.
David, I need to start following even more. I did not know you did this much.
It's on Instagram.
I don't spend time on Instagram. I need to go to Instagram.
Yeah, but I wanted to touch too, like on that topic, because we are getting lily whites in. We've worked with them in the past, but it's not something I was super passionate about. It's my fiance's project. Same thing with like our hognose snakes too. So basically, everybody, these lily whites, right? It's co-dominant. It's really easy to reproduce with pretty much anything you cross it to, right? And you're gonna end up with those babies with those low expressions, the high expressions, and that's not an issue. Like, right? We can always line breed for better, but the issue is people jump in and they have this thing like, oh, if I buy this, it's gonna be money, 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 and the animals are gonna suffer because of it. Like, that's one of the biggest things, I think, for me.
I agree.
Is there anything else like that? So like other than the whiteout fat tails or the lily white
Ghost and fat tails.
Ghost isn't homozygous lethal, though.
It's not. It's just like infertility issues with females.
Yeah.
Is there anything like
It's
that?
like visual MBD with
NDBE's got some issues.
Yeah, same thing as with that. It's a female infertility.
Yeah.
any of the
thing.
vehicles.
So you breed
Like,
heterozygous
no means
males
insane
instead.
grouping, but issues with genes, yeah.
Yeah, because you can still breed them fine. You just need to use the heterozygous females instead of the homozygous ones.
What's going on down there?
Leo, there is a lot of it in ball pythons. There's a whole bunch of lethal
Oh yeah,
combinations.
jaguar and carpet pythons is homozygous lethal. The leucism,
Jack.
same thing with the whiteout and lilies. Trying to think of what else. I can think of a bunch of hamster ones, but that's not really relevant here.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So
she
you-
breeds hamsters.
Oh, does she?
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, I breed pedigreed Syrian hamsters and Russian hamsters.
Oh my!
And
sister
travels
has
across the
Russian
country
hamsters.
to deliver them.
Yeah, I'm a little crazy.
And I'm not joking. She drives them.
hmm
A whole like U.S. You need some hamsters? Here you go.
Yeah, I go visit my friend in Utah who has the oldest pedigree in the United States. And I swap hamsters with him, and then I drive all the way back.
Wow.
Yeah, he lives in Salt Lake City.
That's a drive.
Oh yeah, it's a terrifying drive, and I hate mountains and hills, and it's just a really big one going right into there.
She hates mountains and hills. She's got to go through the Rockies to get to Utah.
No, actually, you can go around them. You can go around them if you go up through. If you follow 80
The
through
hamster showed me
Illinois,
the way.
and you go through Nebraska, you can go above and then cut down into Utah from the top. And you don't have to go through the Rockies.
That is so much longer.
So,
It's actually about the same distance. It's as far as going across the country wise, it seems longer, but it takes the same amount of time as it would taking the shortcut through the Rockies, because the shortcut through the Rockies has more distance.
Oh
this way.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So do you have a
Seems like
problem going
straight
to the
desert.
mountains of Pennsylvania then? I mean, do you have a problem going to the mountains of Pennsylvania, like
No,
literally
because,
through the
because
mountains?
we have something called trees going up to the shoulder on the road, so it's like my little tree safety net. So I
Oh.
don't have to look at the mountains.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I know.
Out
We have
there,
something called trees.
there's no tree nest. It's all just empty. So you see it all. I'm like a horse. I need like blinders for this stuff. But yeah, like in hamsters, like there's the roan gene. If you have a homozygous roan, it creates an eyeless white. So they're completely blind and they're completely white. They can live okay lives. You just have to obviously take a little better care of them. And they're just blind. But in the Russian hamsters, there's an eyeless, toothless white, and those do die right around the age where they would wean off of their mother's milk because they can't eat solid food. So they just wither and die. So there's a lot of animal genes that do the lethal leucism thing.
Now with geckos, do they develop in the egg like enough that you can see what it would have been?
Usually, yeah.
Oh,
They usually die right around before they would hatch, or sometimes they hatch and then die.
Which is
Oh.
similar with the ball pythons. Will do the same thing.
Mhm.
Like a spider to a spider, it will grow all the way usually till the end, or sometimes it even hatches and it dies right after being hatched.
Yep.
Those some big hills.
No, there is a lot. There is a lot of mountains on the way there. There's
Yeah,
not.
but you got like a hamster like escort, I guess. Trained killer
Hamster
hamsters.
escort service.
That's what she sells. Is like they're trained like donkeys. They protect like your cattle and stuff.
Yeah, that's wild. When I learned that about the
Why
donkeys,
they're so expensive. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get a
like
donkey.
my dad tells me about that. He's like, they used donkeys back in the day to
still do,
guard cattle. And I'm like, what do they do?
Yep.
He's like, they kill coyotes. And I'm like,
Donkeys are
what?
scary.
Yeah, they still do that in a lot of places.
They,
A wild
they'll kill
donkey
coyotes.
in my car once. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dave,
so I'm probably getting one because like we're trying to find like a nice property with like an acre or two, like maybe 30 minutes away from here, and I have outdoor enclosures as is. So I'm gonna need a donkey. I'm gonna need
So why not donkey?
some goats, some fainting goats, right? When I have a bad day, come home, rah. It's just like there's a list.
Donkeys have been known to kill mountain lions.
See,
Wow.
they're mean.
Because when they bite, I don't know, when they bite,
That's
they
what
don't
my dad
stop
said.
pushing their teeth together until their teeth
Yeah.
touch. They'll bite straight through until
Wow.
their teeth touch, and then they
They're
let go.
$800. How many?
So
do
what
you
you're
want?
saying is I need a donkey now.
Even
Yeah.
better,
Three.
have you seen those miniature horses? Not a pony, a miniature horse.
Yes.
There's an animal swap meet that happens the first Sunday of the month. It actually comes back this month. But there was a guy selling these miniature horses, and he had the mom and two babies, and these things are like, I don't know, they were like 4 feet tall. The mom was, and the babies are even smaller, something like that. And I think it was like, I don't know, 500 for the mom and a baby, and the baby's 200, 250 a piece, something like that. I mean, I walked by, and then I saw a dad and his two little girls walk by, and they were gone.
It was a
In
swap
the
meet,
instant-
wasn't it?
What happened?
We got geckos.
It was a swap meet, huh?
Basically, it's basically like a farm swap meet,
That's nice.
but it's insane.
The Skittles.
Yeah.
Is that Belle?
No, Skittles. It's Emery.
Taste the
They
rainbow.
look like that burnt, like radar look.
They all look different. Some have a lot more purple yet, but some of them are almost totally green.
That's insane. Oh, I have a thing that was like, it has like 5-degree burns.
I'll get one of the other ones.
Check this thing out.
Wow, that was nice.
Let me
too.
get to, there we go. That's a glower.
Yeah,
Nice.
this is
yeah.
Pacific Green Blood from Chadwick, and cross that to one of the no-known hets. Thank you, Seth, for that one. Clown Inferno crosses. Hella orange, but
Oh, we need to talk about that too, David.
yeah, why don't we talk about that? I'm gonna put this thing back. You get started. I'll jump in.
What are we talking
Clown
about?
Infernos.
We're talking about the whole everybody wanting to put het free on their shit when obviously nobody can actually have het free anything, especially with all these new genes popping out left and right. I personally only have a handful of genes that I can test against. I have bold stripes that I consider no known het because I've tested them against everything that I feel could probably be in them. So I feel confident enough that now I have some stuff that's clean and I can present as no het.
Do you want me to scare you, Seth? You want me to scare you with that?
Yeah, go with it, Gary. Bring it on.
All right. I have a
Careful.
line of animals that I am trying to get Eclipse out of. And I thought Eclipse was out of them. And I tested them. I have 68 eggs out of one female bred to a visual eclipse. The 69th egg was Eclipse.
I don't got
That's
it.
what a
I
lot of
don't- I
people
know.
don't understand. It's an egg.
Well, like
by
I said,
egg
like I
basis.
said earlier, I hatched a single radar this year out of 40-something bells, all of which are possible het radar. Like all of my bell stuff is possible het radar, every bit of it, and most of it is actually het radar. And I hatched a single radar out of my bell stuff this year.
I
That's
truly
something
hate
I would
Eclipse.
say tell beginning breeders, people that are coming into it, you can't test out hets in one season. You
Oh,
can't
there's
buy
no
an
way.
animal, You
No.
breed it, it doesn't prove out. You can't just sit there and say that's not in it because the odds are you didn't hit the odds.
But that's something that me and David were talking about the other day. Is just that, you know, a lot of people put the term het free on stuff or pure on stuff or something like that. And in reality, there's literally, I mean, maybe one or two people that can actually put het free on any of their animals and be confident that it's clean of everything. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, but we just wanted to get this out there for the general public to hear about. You know, I know Miles has heard plenty of this. I see him commenting about it right now.
I also feel like the word pure is misused a lot.
Yes, exactly. When I hear pure, I hear inbred. That's the word. That's what I hear when I hear the word pure.
Pure should be used as something to describe a line bred trait.
I like that.
Has not been outcrossed. That is pure to me. It has nothing to do with hets. It's a descriptor for a line bred trait. Like if you have a pure Inferno, for example, it's possible het raptor. The original Inferno breeding project had raptor in it. So all my Infernos, I just list pos het raptor because there's not really a need to test it out because I'm okay with it being there. So that I just write that there. But they're still pure Infernos. It's just that.
So I had I bought a no-known het female super snow to put to my total eclipse and popped out
Let's see.
that.
A raptor.
That's not my normal.
No.
A super raptor.
No.
It's a blizzard, right? You got blizzard in there.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
So she was a breeder female, already proven breeder, but the male last year was a super snow blizzard eclipse or het blizzard. So she retained sperm from that male, and she is het blizzard.
Blizzard is in a lot of super snow stuff.
Yep.
People don't realize it.
So is Eclipse too.
I hate Eclipse.
I
hate pure.
Eclipse in almost every one of my projects. Almost everything I work with has Eclipse in it.
I'm a sucker for pied stuff, so I really love Eclipse.
Me too.
Oh, I wish it was like you could line breed it, but like I haven't seen any kind of progress as far as it being kind of replicable as far as like how much pied.
The line of super snow that I have has been very consistently producing pieds. I got my stuff from Jeremy Rupert from JRR. He's a local guy, and he got his stuff, I forget where, probably like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago from somebody else who was constantly producing pied stuff. So it's a pretty reliable line, but also I'm pretty sure it has blizzard in it.
And talking about the stuff popping out, because Josh just said he had Eclipse pot out of bolds. Some people say that stuff just spontaneously happens. It doesn't. Leopard Gecko breeding's been happening for a long time, and at the beginning stages, people just started throwing things together to see what happened, and now it's in there, so it's not popping out of your collection.
Well, and that's an important point. That's
Things don't mutate twice. Things mutate once.
I know exactly what geckos Josh is talking about, and I know the parents, and I know where the parents came from, and they're all legit. It's all legit bold stripe lineage. And my bold stripes, for example, I bought no known het male and a no known het female, and that was my original, pairing. And then a couple generations later, I go to testing stuff and pop shrimp and Eclipse out of my stuff. So that's two perfect examples of geckos being bought from reputable sources as no known het and stuff still being in there. So that just goes to show you that no matter what, you have to test for yourself. Even if you buy one from me or from Heidi or from Angela or from David or from Gary or from anybody on this stream or anybody in the hobby, if you're gonna try to tote that no known het label on there, and that's another point I wanted to make. A lot of people buy no known hets from said breeder or said couple of breeders, and then they go to producing, and then they sell them as no-known hets without doing any of their own personal testing. And to me, that's a little bit of a cop-out. If you're gonna carry that no-known het label on there, you need to at least, at the very minimum, you have to be testing against at least the most common Tripper and Eclipse. Those two right there, everything has to be tested against. If
The only reason I disagree with
any reputation with that
is you could ask the breeder you got them from what testing they did. Because if thorough work was already done, you might just be wasting your time and your animal's breeding life retesting. But then again, if it eases your mind, it's not really a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean,
there's things in like Steve's Bell Blizzard group, just the plain Bell Blizzard group, not the White Knight group. That group is so old that when Blizzard came out, he told me he didn't have anything to put it with. So he put it with the Bells, which didn't have anything else in them at the time either. So that Bell Blizzard group literally is just that old. There's nothing else in it. It's originated back that far. So that would be a line for an example that I wouldn't feel the need to test that specific group. But like if you have to do due diligence, you have to research the line.
Well, and the breeder. How well do you trust the breeder?
Well, that's the exact conversation David and I had the other day. Was he had that question to me, and I said, "Well, it depends on the gecko, and it depends on the line. It depends on what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dealing with, a group that is known to have said recessives possibly floating around in it, then obviously that's the first things you need to test against. If you're dealing with a group that's only supposed to be said, genetics, then it might be a little bit less that you need to put it against, but you still need to do your own due diligence if you're going to try to carry forth with that label and representation.
Yeah, I got a story for you guys. Everyone, I probably said this a few times. If people knew I was Matt Baronix, I was a friend of his. And I bought a gecko group off of Ohio Gecko. If people don't know who that is, some people should know who Ohio Gecko is. And he bought this gecko off of Hiss. Okay, Hiss produced this gecko, and this gecko was supposed to be just het Eclipse, het Bell. And I am not joking. I bred them. I made radars and everything else. And I'm talking to Matt, told him where I got it, and told him where it originated from. He goes, "Test the gecko." I'm like, "What?" I took that het Bell, het Eclipse, and bred it to a raptor, and I produced a raptor on the first animal.
Ooh.
Now you guys can search on my channel. You can search on this channel that Orner Exotics. And you can find the video that I came out and I not trashed their way. I sold them all as pets. All 200 geckos I produced out of that group. That's why it's important that you're honest about what you do.
I always test super important stuff, for one. Like once I got it was like what was it? It was a white and yellow Tremper albino, Tug Snow, that Marble Eye is what it was supposed to be from Sasserbeck. I tested it to Raptor, and we also tested it to pure Tug Snow. The going theory is that Tug Snow doesn't produce a super on its own.
That's right.
We got Super Snows. So I was like, okay, well, this isn't a Tug Snow. And then when we bred to the Raptor, I got Raptors. So at that point, this animal was either het Marble Eye, het Eclipse, or it was het Eclipse and didn't have any Marble Eye in it. But also, since the Super Snow happened, I was like, you know what? Two things going the way I didn't plan with this animal. I'm just not going to use it. I petted it out. I sold it to someone for $50 at a Reptile Expo.
And Matt is a genetic freak. He preached the genetic pureness. So Matt,
clowns too, man. Like that whole situation too. Like nobody understands. Like I had a person reach out to me and like, "Hey, can I ask a question?" First of all, that's already a question. Two, the question was what's a clown, right? And I was like, look, it's basically America. It's the mixing pot of so many different projects, and if I was gonna try and call that anything, it's just a mix, right? And so we know what kind of went into it. Like we got some bulge stripe stuff, some hiss electric. You got like infernos in it after. Like now the crosses, like there's just a lot of stuff like the Trempers. So you have to test out for Tremper and Eclipse. And that's what I did this year. Pretty much all my pairings were just testing out the male that I saw the most potential in. And as of now, he's no known hits because I've tossed him to over 30 test pairings and like white and yellow Raptors too. But same thing, like going wise, like you can't really do that without having the database to track it backwards too. So like what made up that male too, that was a pure Inferno from Ruckus. So like that I think is like vouchable. Ruckus did his own like work. He's like known for Infernos too. But like at the same time, am I going to stop? Am I going to do more test pairings next year? Yeah. And like if somebody comes out like, hey, this thing proved Eclipse, like let's fix it, right? Like there's no way around it. Everybody makes mistakes. You got to like, I don't know. We're going to like this. We're not going anywhere. So like, what's the point of like going about it that way?
Yep.
And then another thing I wanted to point out was when people find a het in something, some people make the giantest stink about it. Sometimes it's not directly the fault of the breeder you purchased from. Sometimes it's the fault of the breeder 4 people up the line who didn't disclose something. You know, it can happen to anyone. And the best you can do is just learn about the animal that you tested, decide if you're going to keep using it or not, and move on. Because at this point, especially with things mutating and mutating and mutating and mutating, we're going to have a ball python situation on our hands soon, and it's going to be to the point where it's going to be silly to complain about that. For things like double het bell Tremper or things like that, obviously that's a huge problem because Leopard Geckos is unique in the fact that our albinos are not compatible. But things like, oh, this proved het blizzard, wah. It's not really the worst thing. Or this is Max Snow and I didn't think it was supposed to be. It's like, okay, well, that's dominant. Just breed away from it.
Yeah, the things that suck are those albino strains, the things that have issues, right?
Those are definitely tricky.
That's why I was like, when the blue amber eye came out, I'm like, oh, whatever. That's what I did. I was like, well, another eye trait.
Well, speaking on that,
That's
Angela,
something that's not an eye trait to mutate.
Right. Speaking on that, on like not necessarily being able to attribute it to a certain, just the certain breeder that you got X animal from. On that, like tug to tug example you were given a minute ago, what did you conclude from that whole thing? Like that original tug that you had that you also paired it to, like, isn't there some question there as far as
I sourced that animal from Steve Sykes, who sourced it from somebody who kept the line pure, and I trusted the due diligence that he did to make sure that those were tug snows. Because I know Steve's like a total freak about making sure that stuff's straight.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the whole like, oh, if you put tug to tug, you shouldn't get a super, but if you put tug to anything else, you'll get a super. That to me has some vagueness there to where it's like, have you done tug to tug plenty of times?
I haven't done tug to tug except for that pairing.
Okay.
I was just going over the knowledge that I had been passed prior. That
you know what I'm saying though? Like if that's the only pairing that you did tug to tug on and you produce a super, and you didn't continue or prior to do tug to tug to prove that super shouldn't be produced, then you really haven't proved anything from that one pairing. You know what I mean? Other than that tug to whatever produced the super. But what if tug is just Mac? What if tug is just another line of Mac, like some people say?
I've had that.
If it were, that brings us back to the situation where things don't mutate twice.
Who said it? Who said tug is gem? I do gem to gem. I've done the gem to gem 3 years, and I got my gem snows from Miles, or 2 years. I'm sorry, 2 years from Miles, and Miles got it from Steve, and I've never produced super.
I'll be doing gem to gem this coming this next year for the first time. Heidi, I believe you'll be doing gym to gym as well, right?
So yeah, a lot of people don't understand too, like the max snow or to the gem snow too. Like
y'all get what I'm saying though? Like as far as
Yeah.
like making claims, like you have to have enough foundation to make a claim before you're going to make a claim.
I do know.
Or be able to back it up on every avenue before you're going to make a claim. You know what I mean?
That's why
I
I'm
don't
not
like
making a claim about it. I was just saying based on the
No, I'm not. I'm not saying you are. I'm just making a point about like it needing to be thoroughly vetted and tested before anybody's going to try to make a claim.
You didn't go there, Miles. He brought Albie up too.
The one thing I
because
definitely proved in that
it's not
pairing though
tested.
was that it was head eclipse and it was full het marble eye, and that was like a huge red flag.
Yeah, obviously, for
It
sure.
was backing off from that, and that was only the first of 2 different animals that sourced back to Sassobek that did that.
Right.
I had one that was a Turk cross het marble eye that proved out to be head eclipse as well. So that was
For sure.
Marble Eye and Eclipse. And then Cypher. Now, Cypher's another eye trait. At least it has something different going on.
Yeah, at least that one I think is kind of neat though. I think when it gets worked into different phenotypes, it might evolve into something pretty cool.
Quad stripe leopard gecko.
Yeah, like it could go for that, you know?
Miles is having. Miles doesn't like the whole
Tug and gem.
No, not into that. The Cypher and Marble Eye.
Oh,
yeah.
Crossing eye traits is just never a fun time.
It's like
I had to laugh at Miles' comment a minute ago. Tug is likely gem, is likely Albies, is likely.
Did you see he said hashtag true?
I couldn't help but laugh at that.
It's a debate, and it's going to be hard to prove anything's anything when I'm not sure a single person's really able to trace anything back to the original animal. You know,
came from
so
wild
hard.
types.
Mm-hmm.
Came from Pecco.
They were all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if any of us went into like Gourmet Rodent and actually went through their gecko bins, we could start pulling off some different stuff that we think's different. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't, but I mean, the only place that does mass producing it all looks the same as BHB.
Yeah,
that's Beckley.
That's BHB.
That's the Black Knight Mandarin Tangerine cross.
Miles did have a question here about Skittles. I think that's for Heidi up there.
Yeah, where's it? I miss it? Oh, I did.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, that's unknown hets. Where's it at?
It's
Skittles
right
go
up
back
there.
to
It
Garrick.
is. Skittles
Yeah.
go back to Garrick, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Mr. DeMeyer. I talked to DeMeyer. He was at a small show. Which one was Rothschild? He was at Rothschild. And I was talking to him, and he just says, "Yeah, I do a few leopard geckos." And he had like 5. And I'm like, dude, I said, that's what I know you for. And he goes, I own CrestedGecko.com though. That's all he said to me.
Yeah, the link has changed now. If you go to CrestedGecko.com, it takes you right to Royal Constrictor Designs. I talked to email because he hasn't come down to the shows. I don't go to the northern shows. I just go to southern Wisconsin shows.
If you want a good show to go to, Green Bay is a good show to go to.
I bet if there
It was pretty tight.
Yeah, Green Bay show, B&M came up. I mean, all I need is like 15 more Leopard Gecko Breeders there. Oh, wait.
Just at Sewerfest, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
For me and B&M, it's a 3.5 hour drive, and it was worth it.
I want
It's
that
pretty
too.
good.
You just having tons of cool stuff, dude. I need to come visit.
Yeah, just fly out.
Just flying out. Like the Green Bay show does good. Rothschild's a little slower, but it's building. But Sewerfest, I mean,
Sewerfest is nice.
I don't even know. Everyone goes, "How good Sewerfest?" I'm like, just go. That's all I say.
That's the one I tell people to go to if they're going to go to any shows around here is to go to Sewerfest.
I like the venue.
I wish
atmosphere.
Sewerfest would be one room though.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people get lost. They don't know where to go. They go back to where, like, behind the bar, and there's nowhere to go
Yeah.
except the bathroom, so they leave.
Yeah, they're like, "Where's everyone else?" Because I was talking to Casey, and he's like, "No one came back here." He was so mad.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him. I was like, "Oh, dude."
I would tell people though that there's more people back there because they'd be looking for something, and it's like, well, if you don't see it here, go to the other side. And they're like, there's another side. Don't they hand out maps now?
They do.
I don't know. Do
Like
they?
a layout? I thought they.
Yeah.
I thought Shane had a
I don't
layout.
know where I put mine. They do have the map, and it shows like where everyone is.
Yep. It at least would say. I know it told where all the vendors are, which if they're in the north or south hall, but
Yeah.
I email them as soon as like a month before the show, saying what hall am I in. That's all I do every time.
I'm usually at the same exact table like the last 6 years.
Yeah, I moved like 2 or 3 tables. It's like
I get to sit next to Paul's pills.
I love Paul and Helena. They're awesome.
Mhm.
We were just talking about moving to Australia again, and they were going to be my mom and dad. Because they travel the country. They're scuba divers, and they do cave diving and stuff like that. And Paul is not going to be at Rothschild, but Helena is going to be there. So she's setting up next to us so we can all help each other. So wow, it is 10:30. We got some questions. We do have questions over here. Let's see here. Speaking of Green Bay, you need Dylan here. Yeah, we do need to get Dylan there.
Yeah,
Green Bay was awesome. Yeah,
Except
Green Bay's
for
awesome.
The Packers.
Yeah, I know. I'm a Browns fan. On the subject of genes popping out, I got a stripe from a large breeder from uncrossed Montanius this year. Well, stripe is a line bred trait. You're going to get stripe out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Like I have what was it? Now I can't remember what I was talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna get
polygenic.
tangerine, you're gonna get hypo, you're gonna get all that. Like hypo and white and yellow is linked together forever. Now you're not seeing it so
I
much.
hate that. I have so many white and yellows that are way too hypo looking, and it makes me so angry because they're not pretty.
I mean, they're not. The actual original white and yellows are the most ugly geckos there is.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Why is it exciting for something and unexpected to pop out in ball pythons, but Leos it's bad thing?
Because in Leos,
go for it.
in Leos, we have so many traits that are similar looking and hard to tell apart.
So if you go up,
Here, Eclipse, and Marble Eye can look absolutely identical. They all have specific phenotypes about them that can look the same as each other, and they're all recessive. Same thing with the 3 albinos. Same thing with the snows. Like we had that conversation a couple minutes ago about. They look the same. That's why it's not fun in Leos.
So you get 2 people going just buying albino, and they buy 2 albinos. They might go home, breed them, and they get nothing, and then they're like, "What?" And
Well, that's the problem with getting, you get the pet store gecko, and they think they're getting an albino, not knowing that there are 3 different strains of albino.
and we're lucky enough we don't have it that many G's we can't keep track. We just don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is true. I can
Less
barely
than
say
20.
ball python names. I'll say the ball python guys like this is a fire spider gravel this and that. I'm like, how?
There's
how?
a new morph every
I'm
day.
like, yeah. I'm like, how? They're like, this is a magic.
I have a world's
potion.
first.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot of that too, and it's like, how? I don't know. I can't tell.
The pure
sometimes they turn out not being what they think they are either.
That's true.
There's still different. You didn't breed pure subspecies to pure subspecies, though. You crossed it into Macularius. Macularius can still contribute enough from whatever lineage it had behind it to produce a stripe.
Yeah.
That's
if them subspecies probably haven't come over to the United States in the last 2 years. So as me, you ask Andrew when you buy something, or ask Leo when he buys something. I have a lot of striped tails, and I inadvertently do it because I like striped tails. So a lot of my really high-end projects have striped tails.
A lot of times
That tail's just between there.
Okay, so let me ask.
Balls, pull my wallet out and saying, "Yeah, I'll take that."
So let me ask you guys this then: where would you guys recommend people go to get all the proper information on the different morphs and all that is trustable and reliable.
The only one source I've found lately is Gecko Boa's one genetics page that he did a write up on. It's probably the most complete and well defined write up I've seen, and it has the history of the morphs too. He's got who discovered this, when they did it. He put a lot of work into that page. Like, I send people there all the time.
And he stepped away from it too. Like, he didn't write it as he saw things. He kind of wrote it as how people widely accepted things. And we don't have that. Like, we don't have a board of like right or wrong.
Round tables. So, okay, we got this new to this particular page. I'm looking for more information on supergiants. Can y'all talk about that? We talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to step back because I don't produce giants and supergiants.
I did for a bit.
I have big geckos. That's it.
They're big.
Yeah, it's what you want to. I mean, it's going to be debated. Nobody can decide whether they're recessive or not at this point.
Yeah, and even after working with them, I can't decide if
because I feel like
it
changes, and that's why it's polygenetic. Because you get these animals that consistently prove out to have big babies, and then instantly you produce something small. Well, it still has the same genetics as all the, and then its babies still would have the genetic possibility to be large. If you breed it to another large, as I said, giantism.
It's a very hard one to prove.
Is a trait that can be linked the way we're trying to link it.
I've heard too. It also depends on how you raise it, right? Because if you power fed a gecko and it just turned out big, then it's going to be big.
You'll notice in the body structure of the animal, their body structure is bigger.
It is a bit more like
it's more agromodulous if you want to put it that way.
The way you kind of test for giant too is like that's very variable, and in my eyes, like these geckos are big anyway. Like we initially got in geckos and we're breeding at 30-35 grams, and like that was a staple at a given time. And now it's like, I don't know, my geckos are 80 grams before 8 months. Like it's specific lines that get bigger. Like my magma line, like from Chad, like those animals hatch the smallest, but in 6 months they're 60 grams, no problem. And that's on a diet.
I still
geckos.
I still say it's a look of a leopard gecko. If you have a 40 gram, you can have a 40 gram leopard gecko that's ready to breed, and you can have a 60 gram leopard gecko that's not.
Yeah,
there's a look.
Like any other animal, like I always use people as an example for that. Like take a 5 foot tall man and a 7 foot tall man. If they weighed the same, they would both be extremely unhealthy. The taller man would be super skinny at the same weight that the shorter man would be really obese. Like you have to take it into consideration, each gecko's size and build, what's the ideal weight for them.
Like Andrew's starting to see it. The blood stuff for me get big quick.
Yep. Oh, they don't, but they eat. I mean, I don't care how much you put in there. They do not stop eating.
They don't miss
you can fill you can fill the bowl with mealworms and go back.
Is it like a blood thing? Because mine are ridiculously obese too. Like I can't make them stop.
I have one from Gary and she's big.
But I mean, I could fill the bowl and go back.
Like David's talking about the magma stuff from Chad. My one from Chad is the same way. She's a pig. She never stops eating.
If you put
also
more food in there, you'll eat again.
Since 2019, I've been working with bee pollen for the Abronia, and I started sprinkling that into like leopard geckos, and I don't know, it seems like they grow faster. Like, I don't know, I've shared this with other people, and like I'm too lazy to document it like myself,
I'll tell you, bee pollen is very important because I put it in everything. I put it in I put it in with my isopods. I put it in with everything I feed. I put it in there, and it makes a difference. I was showing Gary some of the stuff I had the other day that was ginormous, and I'm like, and it's got to be the bee pollen I put in everything.
So this is just regular like organic bee pollen?
Yeah.
Bee pollen, Amazon, organic. You can get the granules. You can crush it yourself. I do that because
that's what I do too.
In bulk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Gut loading, I
try
think, is one of the most undereducated and under-discussed topics out there.
Yep.
At every expo we go to, when people walk up and they're like, "Oh, we have a leopard gecko," right away we ask them, "What are you feeding it?" And of course, they say either mealworms or crickets, or that's just the opener. And then once they answer that, I say, "What are you feeding your bugs?" And literally, like 7 or 8 times out of 10, they just look at me with a dumbfounded, yeah, like, what? Huh? I buy them from Petco and I dump them in the cage. And so that lets me get the ball rolling into the gut load conversation of, well, here's my care sheet. You know, obviously you're not getting a gecko from us, but please improve your nutrition on your bugs, because that's going to improve the nutrition on your gecko in turn. And so many people are clueless about that. They're never taught it. They never educate. They never research it. It's just something that a lot of people overlook, and like I said, undereducate on our part. People undereducate. So
imagine if you ate McDonald's every day.
Exactly.
Cardboard every day, you know?
Yeah.
Leo and I had this discussion not that long ago. Remember, Leo, talking about gut loading our insects? Yeah.
I'm going to still eat at McDonald's. It's not going to stop me, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. It is. I mean, hey.
Often.
Yeah, we go over gut loading quite a bit. It typically starts for someone to say they have a gecko about 2 years old, and they'll point out it's about that size, and that gecko is like 4 months old on my table.
Exactly.
And they'll say how their tail isn't that big, because most of my geckos are not like obese or anything. They're pretty decent weight. Some of the bandits get really fat tails, and the rest of them is lean yet. But yeah, they'll say well, they just grab at mealworms or crickets. Some of them do they'll get the freeze dried stuff or whatever. So we do spend quite a bit of time just talking about what to feed the feeders. And they'll say they don't want to do crickets because they're dirty. I'm like, well, sometimes it's just because how the pet stores keep them, but I'm like, if you take care of them, because I don't really like crickets either, but I keep them occasionally because I have fat tails, even though they all eat roaches. But
goblins,
just going over because I don't feed mealworms, I just do dubia roaches, sometimes the banded crickets. I do red runners and superworms, and then silkworms when I can get them. But so that's pretty much my feeders. But yeah, I do talk about gut loading them and different things. And I've been doing the bee pollen for a couple of years now too. I even give it to my dogs and my chickens.
Bob, what do you feed your feeders?
I put it in my smoothies.
All right, hang on. Bob's got a good question here. So my staples that I feed my feeders is dark leafy greens, be it collard greens, kale, or bok choy. And this is literally every other day I give this to all of my feeders. Dark leafy greens, spaghetti squash, sweet potatoes, and carrots. That's my go-to staple right there. I might add some other stuff here and there, bee pollen and other veggies and stuff like that. But those 4 things right there are my go-to ingredients, and I've had a really good success with that. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
We use wheat bran Vitol because it's if you mix it with water, it's like its own gut load formula. It's to be partnered with mineral when supplementing your animals, but you feed the Vitol to the feeders, so it pre-loads them with goodness. We do that, the wheat bran, and then I also do carrots, potatoes, leafy greens, because I always have them on hand because I have everything else that eats them too. And then just if I ever have extra vegetables on hand that I was snacking on, I'll just eat them in there.
Yeah, I have a guanid, so it's pretty much scrap from everything. So you got sweet potato to add on to the greens, collard greens, mustard greens. There's so many greens, and then you Miracle Grow. You got to toss that in there. That's the secret ingredient for everything.
Don't actually do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Shut up, David.
My bugs eat better
Come on,
than me.
man.
I do all.
That's
I
the best
feed
thing.
all of that, but then I also do bug burgers. You guys know what bug burger is, right? The Rapashi bug burger, and then that's what I put the bee pollen and stuff like that in, because then it gets thick like a hard chunk when you refrigerate it, and drop that in there and tear it up.
So I see somebody commenting potatoes. A lot of people say they feed potatoes. Substitute potatoes for sweet potatoes, because potatoes are just water. Potatoes are straight water. Sweet potatoes are a lot more nutritious. So if you're feeding potatoes, go to sweet potatoes instead. It's just as easy, just as convenient, and way more nutritious.
And here's something else: don't buy rotten fruit and vegetables to feed your bugs.
Yeah,
No,
I
fruit's
that
cheap.
before.
That's like asking for a fruit fly problem. Like,
Veggies
no.
are cheap.
The easiest way to feed them and not have it mold or anything, use your peelers for all of that. That spaghetti squash that he's talking about, the sweet potato, everything. They're gonna munch through it really quick. It's not gonna sit in there, not gonna cause all that moisture to sit, to make it smell, to make it like yucky.
Less is more. When you're gut loading your, especially mealworms and stuff like that, use small quantities. What I do is I use the baby carrots and I cut them long ways, like in 4, to where if they don't get eaten completely, they dry up and they don't create mold. Because the mold is the worst thing you can have in any of your feeders.
Yes, and wash your veggies. Wash them.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
'cause they
also
put
like where you
pesticides
source
on
them too. Yeah, where you source your animals. Like I work with P&W mealworms. Like I don't get anything, but like I order every 2 weeks 10,000 mealworms, and so he raises them and has been raising them organically, and he sources in new breeders too. And as far as like roaches, like dubia roaches, I've had my own colony because like Lord knows that gets expensive, but feeding those organically too, and using like roach chow is only a supplementation. Like people are forgetting that you also should be able to feed them like those fresh greens and like even citrus. Like give them oranges. I promise you they'll flip out.
In moderation.
Roaches like really random is rabbit pellets. They don't
say rat poison pellets.
No, rabbit pellets. Like the little
alfalfa pellets.
Yeah, they love those.
Missouri diet.
There's a lot of nutrients in them.
The only thing I say watch about certain pellets is the protein level. You want to go a little bit lower. You don't want that 20 to 30%.
I always get like 16%.
Yeah,
pellets.
And,
like because if you go too high with the protein, then you get gout in your reptiles after you feed off those feeders. You don't want to have too high a protein in your feeder food.
I'm just looking through these questions. This is awesome.
Yeah. Now we're trying to get
the questions. I'm not seeing anything.
It's in the chat.
Private chat, and then there's a comment section. You guys
How young does everybody try to up to supers? Ken, me personally, I tried to up the supers, but all my stuff comes from Rainbow, and I get a weekly order. It just comes to me, and they don't have supers. Miles got me on supers, and I was doing it, and then the super shortage happened. And then when I contact someone, they don't want to sell them to me.
Expensive right now. They're $100 for 1,000.
Jesus, I didn't know they were that high.
Before the super shortage, I had everybody on supers when they got to 10 grams. It's crazy how big of prey these things can take down. Like, I wouldn't fill their bowls, obviously, because there's no way a gecko needs to eat 4 times its body size of food. But
so you buy small supers too.
Yeah, you can buy smaller supers, so you can start them on supers immediately if you get the little ones. Like,
that's what mine
yeah.
Yeah, I'm still on mealworms just because the 100,000 I get a week just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just throw this out there.
It depends on how big your collection is, because because with them being so expensive, if you don't have a massive collection, then supers make sense because I like how they don't die off as fast. So if you have a ton of geckos to feed, you can go through those 10,000 mealworms in the week and not worry about them dying off. If I'm buying 10,000 super worms, that's going to last me quite a while.
And you don't have to refrigerate them, so you don't have to waste room in your fridge. You can just set up a feeder rack and just have things of supers. Mm-hmm.
So for supers, if you're finding low prices, they probably were imported. And also, when we're talking about brain fart, what were we just talking about?
I don't know.
I think it was your topic that I was trying to add on to, but I was also like, okay, maybe I need to look into that supers. Yeah.
Was it when we were putting babies onto supers? Is that what it was?
Oh, the roach keeping? I don't know. I don't work here.
Roach keeping dubias are easy. Dubias are like so simple.
Rack. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna tell y'all, like, whoever's curious about bug growing, I've got that shit figured out to a science. So
And
hit me up if you have any questions.
If you
I
like
breed
red runners,
crickets and mealworms, and it's really easy if you set them up right. It's just a matter of persistence and dedication.
so Seth, you're gonna get big enough to supply me too, please.
Negative. Nope. I'm definitely gonna produce my own to supply myself, and that's about as much as it goes.
I'm gonna do dubias. I got the dubias going, but in 2022 I'll be selling them. I think I got 18 colonies right now.
That's too many bugs.
Yeah,
Oh,
who like are trying to save some money.
I honestly didn't think it was going to be this much work, though. It is a day's work taking care of dubias. Because everyone's like, oh, you just take care of them once a week. No, I'm in there making sure there's no mold. I'm feeding them, and I'm like, this is another job.
Yes, it is.
But I like dubias. They put on weight on the geckos faster after breeding. Oh, legal roaches? Are you in Florida?
Canada.
Oh, Canada. Why are they illegal in Canada?
That's I don't know. You'd think they'd die if they got
Maple
out.
syrup.
So
Yeah.
I tried red runners. Red runners are the only ones I didn't like. Them things don't die either. They just keep breeding.
I'm excited about these goblins, these red goblins.
I love my goblins. They're
pretty cool.
I got 2 colonies now. I separated them
Oh,
already
yeah?
into 2 colonies. Yeah.
Oh, so they're growing pretty good for you then.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, they don't eat as much either.
They don't.
Dubious is you like throw in. You're like, oh, it molded. I gotta take that out. I put a slice.
Can they climb plastic, Gary?
They can, but they don't if you keep them fed. Mine never on the sides, but they can.
They're
be.
not very good.
That seems like I'm gonna have a lot of bad
They
days.
can, but they don't.
It's really
That's
weird.
not a good answer for me.
No, I was going to say that's not a good answer.
Not with roaches.
Well, think about this. Hissers can do it. That's why I didn't mind hissers, and I breed hissers.
That's like saying, like, is this crocodile going to eat me if I go in the water
There
in
it is.
Australia? Like, yeah, he can, but he's not going to. Like, it's all good.
If you keep them,
He's
happy,
well fed, but you're all
one.
good.
You're all good.
If you don't give them a reason to, they won't.
Yeah,
Well,
negative.
But they
worry about
don't.
the
It's weird.
crocodile.
Like they'll get to the side and they can, but the
They
first
don't
off,
do
they're
it.
not very good at it. But they won't. Like if there's food and readily available, they don't want to go anywhere.
No,
They're
I-
fat.
Lobster roaches. on
I've
the
had
other
some
hand.
species. Yeah, lobster roaches are similar. Lobster
And they
roaches are the
jump.
same way. They can climb, but if they have everything they need, they're not trying to leave it.
And the
Yeah, I got rid of mine because they were attempting to like take over his house. Like anytime I open the lid, they're like, "Go, go, go!" Like, yeah.
banana
That's why I
roaches
don't
do
with
that.
roaches that can climb or fly anymore. That was just too much for me.
I don't like the banana roaches. You open them, they fly.
They
They're
fly.
gone.
Wow.
Oh
like-
yeah.
Bye.
I'm like, oh, they're so cool. They're green. I want some. I started. I'm like, oh no, I have a colony there, and I'm like, should I freeze them?
Oh,
You can sell them to somebody who has chameleons because chameleons apparently really like them for feeders.
That's what I got them for because we have a trio of Veils and a trio of Jacksonite. But now I'm like, I don't like them. I just don't like them. So they get
Raid.
goblin now. I just take goblins and throw them in there.
Someone asked where we get our insects from.
Oh, there we go.
My house.
Rainbow. I'm a rainbow. I've known Jillian for 15 years. So
I personally used to use Rainbow, but I'm maybe an hour away, and shipping's like $20 for me. And PNW is, I don't know, I haven't really received any like dead shipments, and I really can't say the same for Rainbow. Like it's hot over here, like I get it, but it's just, I don't know. I've had personal success with PNW mealworms, and the roaches I got from eBay, and now I have like over 800 females for a small collection.
Would you guys buy insects off Amazon?
I used to get my bugs off Amazon.
Really?
I never had a bad time with
eBay.
it. I forget what it was. Some cricket ranch that they would come from. I forget, but it was one that other people use too. So it's not like some out there name. And then as my collection was really growing, I started using Rainbow. I've never been unsatisfied with an order from Rainbow. Their worms are like super soft and buttery, and it's like really satisfying to touch them. But shipping does add up and gets expensive. And since that is expensive, I try to order as much as I can at a time, like a month's worth of feeders. But then I have to store all of it in the fridge, which gets annoying when your fridge breaks and kills all the worms. So that happened. So now
P&W is free shipping.
I went back to getting from my local farm, which is about 40 minutes from my house. So I just drive up there every Monday and grab a week's worth of feeders.
One other little quick tip. I found that mealworms keep a lot better in wine cooler, not at refrigerator temperatures, but at like 50 degrees.
That's what I was keeping them in, and then my wine cooler broke.
Yeah.
I have a refrigerator I have set at 50 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people just throw them in like their regular refrigerator, and that's like way cold. Like,
yeah,
they'll go dormant, but you lose a lot too. You know,
if I showed my
50-ish, they slow down big time, but you don't lose hardly any.
Also, a mistake I've noticed that some keepers do that I didn't realize until I started going over to friends' houses who just keep pets. They'll get their mealworms and they'll put them in a cup and just put them in the fridge. They won't put substrate in.
Oh,
yeah. Y'all are just keeping your gross mealworms in their mealworm poo and pee in cups, and they're getting slimy. Don't do that.
Mouth rot.
Don't do it. That's bacteria paradise for mouth rot. This way. Here we go.
Yeah, it sucks.
So put substrate in there and then put the mealworms in it so they don't pee on each other.
I hate when that happens.
Think about the locust down there.
Yeah, anyone do locust?
Yeah, so my local shop does, and I'm able to get them from time to time when I want to make the drive. Tried breeding them, it takes a while. And, like, is it worth it? I don't know. These things are like the thing. You ever see the movie Ants? They're like evil grasshoppers. That's what they look like.
Oh, man.
If they get out, like, ugh. But it is, like, I don't know. The adults, like, really enjoy them from what I've experienced. I'll continue to feed them.
That's big in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what they got, yeah.
Locust. Grasshopper.
Yeah, because I don't think they can do crickets there, can they?
No, that's why I think they have to do grasshoppers, but also
I think it's illegal. I think crickets are illegal or something. I don't know.
That's that multi guy.
Yeah, we'd have to talk to somebody that's more.
I'd ask Jay, but he's asleep.
More of a tea fan. Let's talk about Enigma.
I hate you, David.
Well, because like
I
think it's a really good like platform for you to be able to do it like correctly, because everybody loves to talk about the stuff like they've never experienced themselves, and what better chance than now, and from the person I've had your stuff since back in the day.
Yeah, I feel like most of the people that try to teach about Enigma are the people that have had and only adopted Enigmas with bad syndrome. And none of the people that keep Enigma successfully actually ever talk about it, which is a huge problem. It causes a lot of disparity. One of the things I always tell my customers, and I actually even have a whole big disclaimer on my website about it too. Anything can get Enigma. That's Enigma syndrome. That's true. The Enigmas anyway. It can happen at any time. It can go away. Like, that's all true. But there is an extent that you can help the gecko cope with it, and that you can have some control over it. Enigma syndrome is initially and mainly brought out by high stress situations. And we should aim for all of our animals to keep them so that they're not stressed, right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure all your husbandry is on point, all your heating elements are working as they should. You don't want to blare lights on them. I mean, I don't recommend that for any geckos to begin with that are mainly not diurnal, but that tends to really bring it out sometimes. So I prefer to rack them. And if I ever have any customers that are saying, hey, this guy's spinning, he's starting to like be weird, I'm like, okay, do you have a rack system? Put him in there for a second. Tell me how he is in like 2 days. Gecko's perfect. It's anything you can possibly do to relieve any stress that they could be going through unnecessarily usually does the trick. Also, so can trying to select for animals that put up with stress better with using Enigma syndrome as your indicator. It can be tricky because since it's dominant, you're always breeding to something that might have different modifiers. But once you get the hang of it and have pairings that work, I would stick with those pairings. But yeah.
And like, let's talk about the pairings that work, right? Like, what are these animals that are A, non-symptomatic, or B, like, aren't as affected by these stress triggers? Because that's what it is. In my experience is when the animals become under stress, something doesn't fire right for them. And with more stress, like some of these problems might not fix themselves too. So that's from just my experience.
What I usually do is the animals that I'm growing out to breed, I pick the ones that are the least expressive. And a lot of the times, by the time they reach adulthood, they're not showing anything. So when I breed an animal, I expect it to have no syndrome because I don't want it to have slight syndrome and then flare up under the stress of breeding. Because breeding is another stressor that can bring it out.
You said you picked the animals that are least expressive in visual expression?
Expressive
or syndrome
Enigma syndrome. It's hard to tell still what kind of link there is between how the animal's pattern is and if there's a lot of syndrome because there's so much variable in phenotype anymore. I've had hypo animals have the same amount of syndrome as a really melanistic Enigma. It's someone had the theory before that it was melanin linked, and it seems to be truthful until, I mean, we have a lot of hypo stuff that does it too, so I'm not sure that that's exactly true. But yeah, I pick ones that don't exhibit syndrome for breeding, and I've had a lot better luck with those animals producing a lot of babies that also don't exhibit syndrome. Because the personality, you can line breed for that. People do it in all sorts of mammals and stuff too, so it's definitely still doable in reptiles as well.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable coming from hamsters because there's some gnarly hamsters out there, and like you breed those because they're pedigree, and that's why you deliver them across country because there's a market for that, and like people like it's not as widely acceptable, but like not widely acceptable, but like the temperament for these animals is important, and that's why people buy from you. Long term, like with Enigma, like how do you what are your goals with it?
My goals are really just trying to find out more ways to improve the gene and the quality of life that the animals can have. I would ideally like to have a line that doesn't ever pop out Enigma syndrome babies. I know that's probably not possible just because of the nature of the gene itself. Like there's always going to be some sort of stressful situation that triggers one animal. But my goal is to get that as small as possible.
Why breed them at all?
Because there's not really a reason not to when so many of them can have a good quality of life.
I
feel like it kind of goes back to the limit for us.
It does, but it also kind of doesn't because Enigma syndrome doesn't kill them. The tumors are a completely physical ailment that really puts their life in danger. And
no, but what I mean by that is that it's something that obviously many breeders, including yourself, have tried for generations and generations. I mean, how many years have you been working to clean these lines up? You know, and you're still.
I've been working with Enigma for going on 7 years now, and the number of babies that I have to hold back from having severe Enigma syndrome has decreased exponentially every year.
But the ones that ship out still tend to get it from being
not necessarily. Anybody that does have complaints about it, usually the geckos settle in after a day or two because shipping can bring it out. Or it could be from the customer setting them up completely incorrectly and blaring lights on them or something. But that's why I'm here. So when people need help with them, then I can help them get them set up correctly.
I mean, I've got a white and yellow that's popped out and it walks funky. The lines are clean, but do we attribute that to the incubation, or do I attribute it to white and yellow?
Well, is it a single animal?
Yeah,
that's the question there. Is it a single animal and no other animals in that whole line?
White and yellow is
random shit happens.
heritable.
Random shit definitely happens for sure.
Yeah, like I have a normal leopard gecko that hatched out this year that randomly, when he walks, he'll stop and he'll like it's sometimes random stuff like that does just happen. So.
Well, it's just
one of my
things,
babies.
Like if I start telling people, all right, well, I've had white and yellow that's popped out, it is a fluke, but because it's white and yellow,
it makes you think.
They start to question you. You know what I mean? All right, well, is your line really clean? Is it that? It's just one of those the touchy stuff.
You guys ready for this? I've seen people sell Enigma as white and yellow.
Exactly. There's definitely.
I've seen it because they can look similar.
They
with certain traits,
and that spurs from people, mostly new people, who get excited because they like how Enigma looks and they like how white and yellow looks, and then they breed them together. And then when they get the offspring, they don't know which one's Enigma and which one's white and yellow, and they just go with what their gut says. But the thing is that's not a pairing I would attempt until you've thoroughly worked with both of those genes for more than a hot minute, because they can present very similarly.
So I guess my main question would be this to you, Angela. What do you get out of Enigma that you can't get out of white and yellow?
A lot, actually. The Enigma has orange pigment in and around the eyes. Enigma causes circular patterns and even color distribution across the body. A lot of circular
white and yellow. The color distribution is very similar to white and yellow. The eye pigment is the only thing that I see that's different in the genes, like in the grand scheme of things.
It's mainly the circular patterns
how people cross it. What's that?
It's mainly the circular patterns that distinguishes it from white and yellow. You can get anything from speckles scattered across the body to large circles. It's very visually distinctive if it's something you've been looking at for a while.
But yet people can't distinguish white and yellow from Enigma when they cross them, which is an issue. So
it is more
if they're so close that you can't even tell them apart whenever you cross them, what's the point in continuing with a line that has issues when you have this other line that, for its faults, does have very minor issues in certain lines, but for the most part doesn't have the issues that the other line has. You know what I mean? Like,
I see your point, but the people that mix them up are new people.
I understand that. I get that. Mixing them shouldn't happen. But what I'm saying is if mixing them results in maybe not being able to distinguish one from the other, then that proves to my point of what are you getting out of Enigma that you're not getting out of white and yellow on a visual aspect other than the eyes, which to me a little bit of eye pigment isn't
the circular patterns on the body and the speckling. White and yellow does not do that.
So throw some Max Snow or Eclipse in there and you'll get it. I don't know.
Not necessarily. I mean, it'd be a lot easier to explain if I had like geckos in front of me, because there's a lot more that you can show with pictures and visuals, and I'm able to really tell with my work.
I have a friend, not a friend, but I know somebody who purchased a bunch of Enigmas. Gary knows them too. And he bred them, and all his babies were walking in circles. And it ruined it for him. He got rid of them all, never got another gecko again that I know of.
I worked with Enigma in the past, and I don't anymore, just because of like personally it didn't work for me, right? And that's kind of what I think Angela is doing, is trying to figure out if it's possible, if it's 7 years to like, I don't know, it's a personal opinion too, and it's like a personal choice to do it, and then it comes down to a line where we have to like think about the animals, and it's her choice. And I honestly, I want to be the one to be like, hey, like, I don't know enough, and she's been one to work with it for X amount of years, and I don't know, you know, for me, it wasn't something I wanted to work with, and that's a kind of preference. And I don't think it's as serious as Lemon Frost, but Enigma to me still, like, I would love to see it without any problems, like no problems, because any problem for me is a problem that like I don't like. I do this because I love this, and like all of us do, and mine's just super small, and I work with a very fine amount of geckos.
Yeah, I think a lot of the issue with Enigma, and especially when people ask me why I work with it, is everybody sees the ugly side of it. But if I would stroll through my collection right now, like, this is one reason why I wish that I was at my house. I would be opening up Enigma bins right now and showing you all of the Enigmas that are acting like normal geckos. And that would speak a lot louder than I'm able to right now on this show.
I could chime in a little bit.
Seeing those geckos like that is what makes me want to work with Enigma, because I'm able to see what it can be, you know?
I could chime in a little bit. I bred Enigma back when it first came out. I spent $4,000 on my first Enigma. It was a Super Snow Enigma. It was one of the first ones, and I was going after the.
You're going way back, Gary. You're going.
I go way back. I was going after the Dreamsicle, and it was known that I was going to call it the Dream. No, I'm not playing, not joking. I was with JMG. I was with a group of breeders. Says I'm going after that, and I'm going to call it the Dream. And I was calling everything else Side Effect. That's what I was calling it. And I hatched the Dreamsicle before anyone else did. Mine had no front feet.
Oh,
damn!
And then guess what?
That's a different kind of.
Clutchmate had no legs at all. That male.
What incubators are you using?
I was using my own incubators, like I do here. I use refrigerators, and I have herb staffs on them. Yeah, but everything with that animal, that male that I spent that much money on, was producing animals that were having no eyelids. No, that was my first Enigma that I ever did. JMG took care of me, got me another Enigma. We said that's the male. It's a freak accident. I probably produced 300 to 400 Enigmas in the 5 years I bred them. I would say 80% of them I was doing something with. JMG had some that he hand-fed just to keep it to breed it. Now, I
don't agree with that. If they can't eat and shed on their own,
and I think that's part of the problem.
You're not doing good.
Now everyone knows I was one of the first to have white and yellow. I got my stuff from Matt. Matt imported his stuff, or sent the stuff over to UK and then brought it back over. I was lucky enough to get some of the first Bell stuff. I spent good money on that too. And I see nothing like anyone's seeing with the white and yellow in my Bell line at all. Nothing. It was perfect, flawless. So I call Matt up and I'm like, hey, dude, I want Tremper stuff, and I'm not breeding Bell out of this. So he sends me over a Tremper. All the Tremper stuff spun. All of it. I'm talking to Morgan and Jeff, Scott. They're breeding. They're like, yeah, my Tremper stuff spins. And I'm like, what in the world is this? So I got rid of it. I had a fire. I lost my whole collection. Not many people know that now. I've said it a few times. I lost my whole collection. Like I said, I was the first in the world to do the Super Snow Bell White and Yellow, the Super Snow Bell Radar. I was the first ones to do those. They all died. I bought into my new Bell Radars, and I talked to Adam a little bit about this, and I got to get to your message. I just get a lot. I spent money to get white and yellow. They all have small eyes. I can't sell them. All of them. So something's going on somewhere down the line, and I consider myself one of the better breeders there is. I know what I'm doing, but that's why you don't see about white and yellow from me. I have probably 150 of them over here. Easily.
I'll get you a good one.
And it's crushing, and it's like, what do we do? But I can compare both. I can compare both problems. And it's just like, how many animals would I had to produce with the white and yellow Enigma myself, the Enigma stuff, to produce something clean? How much would Jeff have to produce to make it clean? How much would the next person? It was so hard, and Jeff Galewood he dropped white and yellow. He said there's problems with it. I sold JMG his white and yellow bell back in 2013. I was the one that sold it to him. It was at Cleveland show. He came up, and I'm like, there it is. I gave it to him, and it was off.
But everything's crossed. It's like and inbred, and like nobody knows how to even go about outcrossing. Like, who has wild types in their collections to be able to fully outcross from something if you need to.
You gotta sneak into Pakistan or something and snake some of these and get them back over.
Another benefit of fat tails. Another benefit of fat tails.
I have 5 Macularis females that I bred to a Macularis male. All came from Steve. But then how much is not going to be inbred? I'm going to eventually, if I want to keep that, I'm going to have to inbreed it eventually anyway. I have to have a bigger collection than I have. And like I was telling some of you guys before we got on, I produced over 3,000 geckos this year, and I didn't even know it. I had no clue. I'm just selling. I wholesale more than I sell to the public. I wholesale a lot. Some people disagree with that too. I sell the droppers. I sell the people that take their stuff to the shows, and they sell my geckos.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's great about the round table, I think, because like Angela looked like she got held to like a fire pit for a second because like everything's fine. Like that knowledge is just like that enigma, but like everything else, are we gonna like overlook everything? Like the round table, like what you've done here is give us a spot to be able to like talk and have differing opinions, or like get this information out there, because who's talking about it, and
being able to talk about it. That's the big part. Having a place to just even be able to sit here and have this conversation. Because I mean, we've all had these conversations with our other breeder friends and everything like that behind closed doors. We all talk about this stuff all the time, but it doesn't get talked about to everyone.
Enough. Yeah, and someone brought up the Asia, getting people to come over here and bring us over some wild caught. Over in other countries, they have different views than we do too. Like, I know for a fact, I forget his name now. He would come over and buy $500,000 in leopard geckos to take that back over to Japan and China with ease. Dygate, I remembered it now. If anyone's a big breeder and was at Tinley when Dygate used to come over, you know who he is. He would come over, buy ball pythons, buy this. He didn't care what it was.
So a family friend is actually like on that project. They're at the lab like interning for this CRISPR stuff, and so they're able to ask all these questions. And I don't think it's going to be in our lifetime.
I was just going to say, what is this? Okay, so it's gene manipulation.
Yeah, so pretty much like cloning geckos, editing like their genes, and pulling lemon frost out of that, tossing it into this from the alleles. Like it's doable, but they're trying to figure out how long, like time frame wise, and like
I've learned so much today. This roundtable thing's got to happen more often. I like it. Like
Definitely.
I said, as long as we don't all hate each other, we can talk about anything. Because like people,
I don't think anybody hates anybody.
Stop touching me, David.
Yeah, like I go back to the 2007 era when leopard geckos started. How should I say? It was the JMGs and the Steve Sykes, because Steve Sykes goes back.
Miles just said they produced an albino anole with it.
Dude, what?
Sick. That's sick.
Give me
So
albino.
where'd they get the
dragon snakes.
albino gene? Did they pull it from another species?
No, so
I bet
they
Miles
probably
about
have
to
heterozygous genes. Like,
Okay.
and being able to pull those out and modify these genes. It's unprecedented. I don't
Now
know.
you
I
guys
wrote
just
about
gave me something to read on. Oh my lord!
Now I want a blue gecko. I want a blue
Yes.
gecko.
Yeah.
That's what I've been waiting for.
Okay.
It'd be amazing.
There's colors, and blue, as we all are reptile people, blue is the color we all strive for.
You know how many emails are gonna get with like, "Can you make me a leopard gecko?"
Oh god!
Well,
Just
Steph
print
and
them
Heidi.
I just
they
heard
have
about
floating
it.
machines.
It's David. David knows.
Both
Everyone
types.
email him. Bubba, email Bubba. He is the CRISPR guy now.
Yeah, it's gonna be seth@husherps@gmail.com.
It's gonna be crazy. Can you imagine just what in the world?
Wow.
So you could take the bad out of stuff then.
Oh, I mean that's why it's the thing. It's like it's tests for maybe reptiles, animals, and then like imagine with us. Like I would have like way
Oh,
more.
geez,
brain
we're getting
cells.
insane now. What the?
Okay. This is literally Gattaca. This is.
It's because we
Wow.
went past 10 o'clock. That's why.
Yeah, it's all good though.
It's midnight where
Twilight
I
Zone.
am.
It's funny that Bob says that designer leopard geckos. Wasn't there a person? Oh gosh, dang it! BNB Reptiles or BNB whatever Brian. He used to say 5-star designer leopard geckos.
Well, that's your favorite saying. Didn't you like that?
5-star designer leopard geckos.
5-star. I forgot. I was gonna keep doing that to you every time.
Oh geez, there are some amazing purples being made from the guy who produces bubble gums. They are thought to contain 2 albinos. Ken, you're killing me. Ken,
we
you're
got purples too. That's not needed.
They're doing it on
Bubble
humans
gum
now.
isn't needed.
Oh
The
no.
bubble gum. Oh my lord. Oh jeez.
We're just gonna call it the Bubba Gum.
Oh man. Can you? Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Man, there's so many other topics that we could get into though and keep this going forever. I mean, like the next roundtable, we hit super snow, the deformities in super snow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
I can bring out my collection of that. I breed a lot.
It's about structure.
And how I feel that Eclipse does have problems, but I think Eclipse is the strongest genetic that we have, and it shows because it's in everything. It survives everything.
Did you know that Super Snow Noir Seer has a new phenotype?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Super Snow Noir Seer has a tendency to form striping and evenly distributed pattern, as well as a darker gray backdrop.
Wow.
Wow.
It's fancy.
I'm trying not to produce
It's
super
sponsored.
snows. That's why I'm so happy my gems aren't producing super snow, so I can line breed that color.
That is really nice to be able to line breed it better.
Yeah.
It's hard to line breed stuff with super snow. Like I've been struggling
That's exactly why I started working with
gems
gems and my golds.
I'm probably gonna end up going to gems. I don't really want to produce supers
Mhm.
anymore. I don't know.
Well, since gem and tug is the same, I think Albie Snow should be sold to me as a gem snow price by Miles.
I got it from
sounds like a
Evan
good idea.
at $49.99 plus shipping and handling.
There it
It
is.
was like 3 payments of $79.99.
Yeah, I could go to Evan too. See, I'm lucky enough. Evan moved here too, so I got Miles and Evan and me, and we got
Where do you guys
Heidi.
live?
So Garrett,
Wisconsin.
you're doing gym to gym right now?
What
Yeah.
the heck? Wait,
I'm doing gem. Yeah.
I'll be doing gym to gym next year. Heidi, you doing gym to gym next year?
I think I did one gem to gem pairing this year.
But
yeah, next year more.
What about tug to
Maybe
tug?
couple set for next year.
Angela, are you doing tug to tug next year?
I actually have a group set up for that. Yeah. Because
Sweet.
I got tired of just pairing things to like wild types and stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna set up a group of just tugs and just jams and just keep everything easy. So yeah.
Well, I'm curious about that. Like you know what I said earlier. Like the tug, you know, if it is a thing, we gotta check it for sure and make sure that.
Yeah,
that
I have
is
a
it gonna
1.
produce supers on its own?
I have a 1.2 of the tugs and a 1.3 of the gems. And then I have some gem stuff in my 1 bell group. So fun stuff.
That's what I'm telling you, dude. We gotta do it. I just don't like Mac because supers. It's like, dang it, it's the super. That's what I do every single time. Dang it, super.
We need to figure out if Gem and Mac create supers too. From what I've heard, it does and it doesn't. So
I can breed.
Yeah, I feel like that one hasn't been explored as often as
Mac. What you say, David? Mac and Gem.
Mac and Gem. I did that this year.
I thought about trying that this year, but obviously I wasn't gonna say anything if I did do it.
Yeah. My dumbass, I went on a live.
Don't do that, David. Just fucking do it and keep it under wraps.
You said no.
No, I thought about messing with that here in the next couple of years just to see, but I don't know. I didn't say that. Scratch the last 5 minutes.
It's all good.
So the reason for me doing it live too was because, like, I don't know, everybody does everything in the shadows, and like, I'm nobody, right? Like, if I get a big head, like, I want you guys to like hold me accountable too, and like, that's just the way I see things. So like, when I go about it, like, I want to be like, hey, I'm trying this out because I don't know what happens. I reached out to Steve, I reached out to Chad. They were like, there were so many different opinions on it, and I was like, you know what, let me just try it. And then posted that, and Steve was like, yo, let me see like what happens. And well, obviously he didn't say it like that because Steve's like, hello sir, I would inquire about but it just sucks, like, because I didn't have any results from that, and like I did post it live. So yeah, like I guess I get what you're saying, but like, transparency moving forward in this too is going to be huge, and a round table like this, even if it's not these members, is very important.
I think we just need to keep doing roundtables. I think I like this a lot.
I think I like it a lot.
I think if anything, it's just really fun too. Like,
well, and as far as transparency goes, I think we established earlier, like, transparency is very important when you're putting stuff out. But if you're not putting stuff out, experimentation is essential to a certain degree. You know what I mean? And that's where we have to have lines that we draw in the hobby. Like we were talking about earlier with the lemon frost thing. Like, if you're gonna do some experimentation in your own collection and try to make something happen, that's one thing. But whenever you're putting it out there for the masses and for especially beginners to see and get a glimpse of these animals that look amazing but have issues, then that's a different.
And then saying that it's cured.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing.
No, exactly.
There's a difference in trying something and say there's issues. I'm trying to do this. There's still issues. But after one breeding season of breeding something and saying, "Yep, it's cured,"
and then to show an animal saying, "Look, it's normal, it's fine," and then you see a tumor on its side.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been breeding these since 2007, and I learn something new every day. I've learned something new today. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you know what you learned today? A shorter way to reverse engineer your animals by going to that science guy right there.
I'm talking to Bubba tomorrow. Send me an email. We're doing this
because I'm not smart enough for any of that.
I'm trying to reverse engineer stuff, and I'm having trouble. There's two genes I'm having trouble getting rid of: Tremper and Eclipse. I think I'm pretty. Yeah, Bell. I'm pretty good with Bell. I think I've produced over 200 eggs with a couple females. We're good. I think I got that. My male's been tested. He's produced 4 generations now, but now they're both 5 and 6 year old animals. So
Gary,
I'm thinking.
Gary,
I'll consider Ron.
The raptor is the parasite of the leopard gecko world.
Yes.
I'll consider Ron retired when Tremper and Eclipse isn't in everything.
Raptor is the parasite of the leopard gecko world. If anybody wants to disagree with that, I'm all on.
You don't like the discrepancy over
literally like
Tremper Eclipse being a raptor or having to be patternless?
Whatever. I don't care.
Well, ready for this?
Patternless pattern. I don't give a fuck.
Ready for
Tremper
this?
and Eclipse is the parasite of the leopard gecko world.
Yeah, and people think the patternless and I get this a lot. It's a recessive gene. It's not.
No.
The only recessive genes in a raptor is a Tremper and an Eclipse.
The patternless trait is a polygenetic associated with Eclipse.
Yes. And ready for this, everyone? Reverse stripe is an eclipse tied thing.
All my Max Snows that I did with my Max Snow Eclipse pairing, all the ones that are het Eclipse, all are reverse stripe.
Yeah.
Yep. Striping is like it loves Eclipse. Eclipse loves striping. It's they're married.
That. Oh God, now I'm thinking of some videos again.
and until you try to put Eclipse with a bold stripe, they're not married anymore. Yeah.
I give it to people that breed bold stripe and snow and max snow and bold stripe and get them amazing looking stuff. Line breeding max snow is hard.
That's a nice looking gecko.
Oh look, we got a gecko to look at. Sorry guys, got geckos. See, there it is, reverse stripe.
Nice. That's not a visual eclipse?
No, and you would think so by the phenotype.
The pattern looks like an eclipse.
I was just gonna say it's nose, yeah.
I'll get a half sibling that is just a pure eclipse in a second.
This is actually head eclipse as well, which you'll stay.
Reverse stripe. Oh.
Gecko.
Nice.
Oh, I love those kinds of reverse stripes. They're like lavender in the middle. I love that.
I wish they would stay that way. That tail, look at that.
So these are half siblings.
That's nice, Leo.
Yeah, you know what sucks? I don't know if I'm going to keep it.
Keep it.
It was Raptor or.
Yeah, maybe you have white and yellow in there, a low expression white and yellow, because white and yellow will separate the pattern like that too. But also, it's not too far to think that the separation is also caused by a recessive like het for eclipse. Same thing as we can tell almost what blizzard looks like when it's a heterozygous recessive.
Look at that one.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's a chonker.
In mine or in Adam's?
That's a good stripe.
Andrew, I think
Trumper Max, no head eclipse.
the last two, I think.
Guys, I just like looking at other people's geckos because I think they're so much better than mine. You don't even understand. I see mine.
I wish this was a male, but it's a female. And I have to test for it, so I'm debating whether
I do have a guy that can take the DNA or something out of it, and we might be able to make it a male. Yeah. I'm learning stuff today. I am all about this today. I mean, geckos are just... I used to be a snake guy, and it's all about geckos now with me. I do have snakes here, though.
Well, hey, guys, I've had a blast, but I think I'm going to sign out.
Yeah, I think we all can go. So,
I'm with you on that. It's like 12:30 a.m. here.
Yeah, it's like
good time. Definitely have to do this again.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh shit! It is 12:30.
It's all good. Like we breed geckos for a living, right?
I
still got 2 racks to feed and clean. Like fuck y'all. I gotta go.
Say I haven't even started. This is normally what I'm doing.
Before everybody goes though, where can I get a hold of you guys at? Like, where can I find your You guys got like a website? Any of you guys? Any of you guys have?
Huffs Herps, Yahoo, or no Yahoo. Huffs Herps, Facebook and Instagram.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I have a website too, Darling Geckos.
I will get all these put up, all these guys' sites up on Fauna Radio's Facebook page, and then I'll start sharing it.
Yay.
There we go.
You guys
Thanks,
rock.
Gary, for putting this together, man. It's fun.
Oh,
yeah, this was a lot of fun.
We'll have to do this again for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you all for your knowledge too and everything. I appreciate it from all you guys.
A real learning experience.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Enjoy
all
your
right,
holiday
guys.
weekend.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah. Be safe.
Bye, everybody. Happy